Yo, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to another Ranked and Explained stream, live and ready on a nice Saturday, mid-evening, afternoon, depending on your time zone. Happy to have all of you guys here with me today. We are going to be going over every single jutsu in Naruto and Naruto Shippuden within reason. There are definitely a couple missing from this list because I know there are like over 1,000 jutsu in Naruto. That is without a doubt. But it seems to me that this is most of the major jutsu in Naruto. So if there's one missing, I apologize. And I would also like to give a heads up to everyone that's tuning in for the VOD. I'm not the greatest Naruto connoisseur. However, it was one of the first anime that I ever watched. I absolutely love Naruto. I've seen almost all of it, and I'm pretty knowledgeable when it comes to it, but there may be certain things that I forget, certain feats or, you know, small little details that I might miss here or there. That's what I've got you guys in chat here for me with. Should get Ronan in here. Hey, man, you know what? I figured that I would be strong enough to try and tackle something like this on my own, but we shall see. We shall see. What's going on, KRM? My man, happy to see you in chat. What's up, Temro 100? Music is here. Dane Simonson. Xenon is here. Izilo. I made the list. I did not make the list. The list is on tier list maker, that's for sure. But that's okay. Like I said, I ran through it. Most of the jutsus are there. If you are tuning in for the VOD, as always, with it being a stream, probably going to be yapping and just doing introductions for a good 5 minutes. So if you would like to just get right to the tier list, please feel free to skip ahead to like 5-10 minutes in. But most importantly, with all of the introductions out of the way, how the heck are you guys doing today? That's what I really want to know. It's Saturday. I was really struggling today to decide what I wanted to do the stream on. And as I was deciding, I was looking on tiermaker.com and I saw that I was going to do part 1 Naruto, but then I saw that all of the jutsu tier list was available and I was like, you know what? That sounds like fun. Kamui got to be top tier, no cap. Listen, there will definitely be some guaranteed S tiers without a doubt. I promise you, there are some agendas that I'm going to be pushing. I'm not afraid to just be outright and admit it. I definitely have my bias going into Naruto, but we're going to do our best to make it as unbiased as possible. What's up, Kalonzo? Whoop Slap is here. What's up, Wholesome? We're just going to be waiting for a couple more people to be hopping in, and then we're going to get right into it. Let me go ahead and ping the Discord as per usual, because I know YouTube is absolutely terrible at just doing any kind of notification whatsoever. And actually, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and make a tweet as well, because like I said, YouTube is just terrible at notifying people. So I'm going to go ahead and just get this over with. If you could, guys, if you could do me the biggest favor, I just posted the link in chat. If you could go like and retweet the tweet, or even better yet, if you could like the stream, that does best to let YouTube realize that people want to actually watch the stream and send it out to people. For some reason, YouTube has been messing with my notifications and subscribers lately. Do not know why, but I guess it's my time. Happens to everybody, happens to the best of us. I'm not special. YouTube isn't trying to shadow ban me or anything like that. It's just part of the career. Sometimes your channel gets lost in the depths and YouTube doesn't want to send out subscriber notifications. It is what it is. Has Boruto been better? I don't think this includes anything in Boruto. It doesn't look like it. Looks like it goes all the way to the end of Naruto. I wouldn't include Boruto even if it was, you know, a part of what's going on. I haven't read Naruto. I grew up. I haven't read Naruto. I haven't read Boruto. I grew up with Naruto since I was like 13, so that's where literally like all of my knowledge and all of my passion for anime and manga comes from. So that's where my mind immediately goes to. Boruto, I watch some of the movies here and there, but I'm not as locked into it as some people are. What's up, TYR? How we doing? Vex, how we doing? Second 10-hour stream, there has to be at least 10,000 jutsus out there. To be honest with you, I literally looked up, I remember at one point thinking of doing this as a video, and there literally are like 10,000 chapters. It's kind of crazy. I think Boruto is on the come up. He has some good character growth and stakes are pretty high right now. I know that the time skip has finally occurred and we're finally past like part 1 of Boruto and into what everyone has been waiting for years. So hey, if it turns around, that would genuinely be really cool. I wouldn't be mad at that whatsoever, right? Wouldn't be mad at that whatsoever. Again, guys, if you do have Twitter, if you follow me on Twitter, just please like and retweet the tweet that we are streaming. I just posted the link in chat. If you can take a second out of your day to either like the stream or just like and retweet, highly appreciated. Again, YouTube is just awful at sending notifications out. Hey, Kibetso, happy to see you in chat. Sakura summoning Jutsu Naruto. KRM, I have to have you do a Naruto video soon. I've been depriving you of Naruto. I might have some Demon Slayer work for you relatively soon. I'm just now starting to finish Demon Slayer. I have 20 chapters left. I just finished Infinity Castle, and I am on my way into the last final fight. So after today, by the end of the night, I will most likely have finished Demon Slayer and been all the way caught up. And we can start bringing some Demon Slayer content out, baby, for the new season coming up of the anime. The filler season coming up. What's up, China Doll? How we doing? What's up, Dean Sports? Give it a couple more minutes just to have everybody pop in, and then we'll get right into the stream. Try ranking each jutsu by village. Yo, one day someone should do like an all villages ranked and just be like these are the pros and cons to being born in each village. If you're born in this village, racism. If you're born in this village, child slavery, child warriors, and all of these child soldiers. Just terrible situation no matter where you live. What's the best village to be born in the ninja world? Probably not many good locations. Love how you always try to make videos about what your viewers ask you. I asked you way back to make more Bleach videos. You did. Give you a video idea and you did that idea. Love you so much, bro. Hey, happy to have people like you in the community, Vex. Wouldn't be able to do any of this stuff without you. Con of being in the sand village. Sand is all in your crack. I do feel that. What do I prefer, anime or manga in general? In my later years, I'm slowly finding out that I do prefer manga. I didn't before. I preferred anime always. But you know what? As things are going on, I start finding that I can imagine things better in my head and just go with, put people's voices and just have better character moments and more in-depth. And I can also sit on a panel and let it sink in for as long as I want to when it comes to manga. Whereas sometimes I feel like anime, we move way past moments and I'm like, damn, I wish we would have sat on that moment for 2 seconds more. But again, that's just, you know, the beauty of manga. I can actually sit on the manga panel and let it sink in for as long as I want. I like seeing the uncensored and intricate details of manga. That's also a good point. Manga is the source material. You know, it's unedited, uncut. It is the truest and closest to the original, you know, author's creative work that you possibly can get. Though sometimes anime changes the way I view a manga scene. Very true. Here's a cool poll as an icebreaker to start everything going on. Let's bridge these two worlds here, huh? Would you rather be a ninja or a sorcerer? Answer the poll. Let me know what you guys think. What would you prefer? Because the thing is, for me, if you're in the ninja world, life is rough, but it's not as rough as being a jujutsu sorcerer. Let's be honest here. So sorcerers very rarely make it past the age of like 30, if you're lucky. A good day and being a sorcerer is not is being able to recognize your allies' corpses as opposed to having them being destroyed beyond repair. Being a ninja, it requires a little bit more hard work. You're like, yeah, you can be born into like a high ranking clan and like get top tier Sharingan skills, or like, you know, top tier Byakugan or like good kekkai genkai, which we'll definitely be getting into on the list. But as far as it goes, it requires so much more work to be a ninja. Like, you could be born as Himothy or Hurathi as a sorcerer, get like a top tier curse technique, and just blitz everybody that steps in your way. However, being a ninja, no matter what, you got to do hard work. Even if you're born with a Sharingan, you got to put at least a little bit of effort in there. Same with the Byakugan. You know what I mean? A sorcerer's life is not that great, to be honest. Yeah, exactly. Depends on what time period I'm born into for Naruto. True, if you're born after the Naruto series, life is so peaceful. Actually, I haven't read Boruto yet. I don't know if the world is all topsy-turvy, but a sorcerer always dies with regret, with the exception of Gojo. Yeah, most sorcerers. I mean, I feel like a lot of ninjas also die with regret. No, I feel like there's definitely a lot of ninjas that did not have a good time. That's for sure. Rather be a sorcerer because the ninja world sucks if you aren't one of Naruto's friends. I guess it could really go either way, huh? Anyway, guys, we're about 13 minutes into the stream, so I'm gonna go right into the tier list and start talking about that in regards to people that are watching the VOD. I'm gonna have respect for them. But again, guys, thank you all so much for stopping by. I sincerely appreciate you guys all hanging out with me through this tier list. Again, if you haven't already, hit the like button. It really helps the channel more than you know. And if you could, because YouTube is terrible at notifying, please click the link in chat that I just sent in the chat and go like and retweet my most recent tweet. And that will help people that follow me on Twitter see that we're streaming. But we're gonna get right into it, guys. So the first jutsu on our list, it looks like it's going in order of appearance, which honestly I love. It makes things a lot easier for me to follow as someone that hasn't gone and reread or rewatched Naruto in a long time. We've got the transformation jutsu, which should not be mistaken with the sexy jutsu. Two entirely different jutsus here, guys. Clearly nothing to do with each other. If you ever even were to insinuate that they were the same level or type of jutsu, you would be looked at and laughed at and pointed at in a group of ninja, because they'd be like, you utter fool. How could you confuse these two entirely different concepts? The idea behind transformation jutsu is that, I mean, it's literally in the name. You can transform, right? Simple enough. Honestly, the transformation jutsu was literally created when like the idea of being a ninja was a lot more stealthy. I'm sure you've all seen the video of the guy who's like stealth is thrown out the window, world building is thrown out the window for Naruto once we start blowing things up and yada yada yada. So transformation jutsu doesn't really see much use. But if we're being honest here and looking at each jutsu individually, transformation jutsu does have a decent amount of utility. Like you can transform into an ally to confuse them, or to, if, let's say you're in the battle and one of your strongest allies dies, and you need to confuse your enemy to make them think that that ally is still alive to get an upper hand on them. Boom, transformation jutsu. Let's say you need to transform into the enemy and sneak around. Forest of Death, you literally transform into a group member and literally betray them and plot their downfall from the very beginning after assassinating one of their friends. Their three-man squad falls apart. You know, like the transformation jutsu does have decent utility. Naruto turned into the nine tails to scare the one tail. That is definitely a good use of the transformation jutsu. It has a lot of utility, so I don't want to say it's like an S tier, it's an A tier. Oh my god, it's so powerful. But we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna start the ranking of Naruto jutsu off with transformation jutsu in B, unless anyone really wants to yell at me or like complain and think it should be an A tier. I think it has a lot of utility. What's up, Loud Gaming? I'd say that it's C tier. Nah, I think its utility puts it up in B, but as we start filling out the list, we can see if we need to move some jutsu around, of course. Because once we start seeing what B rank jutsu become, I mean, sheesh. If you want to talk about C tier, we can talk about sexy jutsu being C tier. I would imagine, honestly, sexy jutsu is F tier, because genuinely its only usage is getting a horny gooner. And catching him off guard, right? Like this jutsu generally has no other utility besides that. I mean, unless you're fucking Kaguya, literally just wins you the entire series. I hate that, like, that literally generally gives people a reason to argue that sexy jutsu should be an S tier. S tier, A tier, worked on Sakura, Kaguya, and Jiraiya. It worked on a god. Guys, leave me alone. Sexy jutsu is canonically one of the strongest simple jutsus. It's stated that it's more effective the stronger the opponent. S++? If it works on a god, it works on everyone. Come on. But I mean, let's be real here, guys. Are we being serious? Since Jiraiya's books are so popular, there's clearly a lot of horny ninja. I mean, come on. I mean, like, that's like say, obviously sex work is going to be popular no matter where it's being distributed, fictional work or not. See, just for chat, sexy jutsu needs its own tier. Now, see, that would be relatively based. Sexy tier being its own tier, I would be okay with, because generally sexy jutsu is like impossible to classify. Like, impossible to classify. It would not work on Itachi or Sasuke. That's fair. That is actually fair, Dean Sports. It does not work about people that stand on their business. Sasuke literally was about to kill Sakura. He was the opposite of horny. Yes. What are you going to do against people? To bring it back to Jujutsu Kaisen, like Sukuna, what are you going to get someone like that who literally does not give a fuck about getting laid? Sasuke Jutsu ain't doing shit, bro. We'll give it a C tier because it killed the god. Oh, but Sasuke never landed a punch on Kaguya. No. I would put it in F tier, but we're going to put it in C tier specifically because you guys gave a good enough argument. That's literally all it's going to come down to. Up next is Shadow Clone Jutsu, what I think is pretty clearly an S. Like, one of the greatest jutsus of the entire series. If not, I may even end up putting it in like double S or like S+ tier as we start filling the list out, because literally one of the greatest jutsu of all time. There's a reason why almost every single high tier ninja uses Shadow Clone, like, because it's one of the greatest jutsu of all time. It's only that good because of the amount of chakra Naruto has. Now, I disagree completely about that. The reason why I would disagree with that entirely is because, again, almost 90% of the Jonin in the ninja world use Shadow Clone. They may not use Shadow Clone to the degree that Naruto does, where it's like, I'm gonna summon 50 million Shadow Clones up against you. But like, being able to summon 1, 2, 3, like the most efficient clone jutsu, as Loud Gaming is saying, it cannot be denied. It's a bit overrated, KRM said C tier. How are you guys gonna yell at me for putting sexy jutsu in C tier or anything below S, but you guys are telling me shadow clone jutsu doesn't deserve S? You guys are out of your mind. It's like saying blood manipulation is amazing, but you're a normal human and not Choso, so it's really that. So is it really that good if you can't manipulate it like Choso? Yes. Shadow clones are still good, whether you can summon 15,000 of them or one of them. Shadow clones are still fire. Look at the way, again, that Itachi uses shadow clone jutsu. Kakashi uses shadow clone jutsu. Normal shadow clones are B tier, but multi-shadow clones with high chakra reserves are S tier. It's got utility with being able to take in the clone's info. Itachi used shadow clones, Jiraiya, Kakashi, top clone jutsu. Just being able to share knowledge between the clones makes it an S. Exactly. The utility outside of battle is also crazy and cannot be denied. There's a difference between normal shadow clone and multiple shadow clone. Yes, but it doesn't look like this tier list gives us a difference. So, seems like we might be putting it all under one. I think shadow clone jutsu is S. Again, it's possible. We may be able to go in deeper down the line and change it. But as far as I'm going, shadow clone jutsu is an S tier. Itachi's clones exploded. Again, all the different things you can do with shadow clone jutsu. Maybe we'll move it down to S tier if you guys really are that, you know, if you guys really feel that strongly about it later. But as of right now, we're definitely gonna just stick with S tier for shadow clone jutsu. I think its utility, the amount of characters that use shadow clone jutsu, I think it's a pretty solid S tier. And I think none of you guys will be mad as we follow up this trait with 1,000 Years of Pain also being an S tier jutsu. Now, I am kidding. 1,000 Years of Pain is rough. Rough jutsu. Iconic jutsu. But I really don't know where to put 1,000 Years of Pain. Would you put it in F tier or would you put it in C tier? Just because of the meme, would you put the meme in C tier? 1,000 Years of Death one shot the 8th Hokage, so it's S tier. The power scaling is insane here. Boruto really goes crazy. S tier. That S tier, so OP that it's hardly ever used. The true forbidden jutsu. Even Takaba used it. You have a good point. Even Kakashi was scared of 1,000 Years of Death. The community has spoken. Nah, 1,000 Years of Death is obviously an F tier, you know, jutsu. It's not even a jutsu, to be completely honest with you. It literally is just a joke. Like literally just nonsense. Stick in your face. It's literally just molestation. Like it's that simple. I don't know if you could even consider that a jutsu. Substitution jutsu, I struggle to potentially put in S tier. Violation jutsu, yes, exactly, Loud Gaming, you get it. Use a kunai and you can do some damage. See, now we're adding some utility. Now we're adding some versatility past the normal canon results of that jutsu. Substitution jutsu is pretty top tier, I would imagine. In video games, substitute is S tier. So true. In video games, substitution jutsu is the strongest jutsu ever. Everyone just be turning into logs in the video games. I think substitution jutsu has reasonable just reasons. You can't think of a better word to put after reasonable, but the point is, I think it's a pretty valid S tier. If it's not S tier, it's at least A tier, right? Because substitution jutsu, if you really think about it, you can just do so much with it. Even just the whole log, you know, joke that has been perpetuated for decades now at this point between role players, you know, fandom, you know, fan fights, power scaling, everything. Oh, they just substitute and turn into a log. I mean, regardless of wherever all these motherfuckers keep getting these logs from, substitution jutsu is pretty OP. If you can use it in actuality as often as characters in like the video games use it, like you really can use it in very critical moments to avoid injury. But the thing is, and the thing that the video games miss, is that substitution jutsu does require preparation, which doing preparation mid-battle, not very easy. Now, this is where the shadow clones can come in, because if you have a shadow clones gathering up all the logs for you, now see, that's where it could come in. But in reality, yeah, substitution jutsu, I would probably put in like an A, because again, you lose all utility of the ability when you consider the fact that you have to have the thing already ready to substitute yourself with. Substitution jutsu depends on the caster. Yeah, I'd put it at A because it's similar to Sasuke's teleportation jutsu. Yeah, you just have to have the thing to replace yourself with. So that's the only reason why I wouldn't put it in S. How do they transform a log into a living being with actual thought process, feelings? Can they just transform dead objects into life? I think that's just one of those things you don't ask about. But I would put substitution jutsu in A tier. Again, it would be S if you didn't have all the prep conditions in order to set it up. I'd put it in B considering the prep and also what's coming up later. I say B tier. We got two people saying it's a decent B tier. You have some people saying C tier. I'm willing to put it in A for now, just because having one jutsu in every tier just looks so clean. And of course, we can change it if we need to. Actually, you know what? Me even thinking about it now, like looking at fireball jutsu, I probably would put substitution jutsu at top of B, because unless you really are like smart enough to do all this setup and get everything together, you really can't make most use of it. Like, I think we're overrating substitution jutsu just a little bit. So I do feel comfortable putting it in the top of B. Top of B for right now. Just because I think... Would I put Fireball Jutsu in A tier? Now that I'm thinking about it, I don't know if I would put Fireball Jutsu in A tier. I was going to be like, yeah, Fireball Jutsu guaranteed A, just because it's an iconic jutsu. But if you really think about it, I'd probably put it in B. A tier, it's a ball of fire. Who has Fireball Jutsu ever killed, bruh? You got a really good point. Fireball Jutsu has a lot of really cool, like, variations. Like, when you change it into Phoenix Flower, and you change it into, like, the big giant flames that Madara starts using in the War Arc. Like, Fireball Jutsu can be pretty versatile, and it offsets into a bunch of different, like, tactics. Fireball is low A. Even Kakashi got out of the way when Kid Sasuke was gonna hit him. Fireball is a solid B. Remember, Itachi's was bigger than Sasuke's, and Madara was bigger than any we've seen before. Those are completely different jutsu, though. You're not wrong, Shane. You're not wrong, Shane. I'll put Fireball Jutsu in B tier for sure. Probably below Substitution Jutsu. C tier because I know their breath stank after. Nah, bro, you burn all the bacteria out of your mouth. Honestly. And remember, Itachi put Shuriken on fire. Fireball Jutsu is decent. I don't know if I'd put it in A tier, but I would definitely put it in B tier. Now that I'm looking at it, Transformation Jutsu definitely goes down to C tier. Without a doubt, I feel really weird putting Transformation Jutsu on the same tier as Fireball Jutsu. So we're going to go ahead. That's what I mean. We're going to be moving Jutsu around for sure, because as we start filling this list out, we're going to be like, nah, that doesn't make sense. Hey, Loud Gaming, thank you so much for the 10 gifted memberships. Appreciate that. Thank you so much for the love and support. Love that. Now, I think Sharingan is obvious S tier. If we're talking just basic Sharingan, copy wheel jutsu, copy wheel eye, all of just kaleidoscope eye, is that, that's what I mean when I say don't come at me in the comments for like me not remembering what the translation of Sharingan means. Alls I know, god damn it, is Sharingan is OP, especially when we're talking Sharingan in the beginning of part 1, when Sharingan let you fucking copy all of the jutsu you could see. Not saying that they changed that at all or they got rid of it at all, but the truth of the matter is, like, when Sharingan was focused so much more back in the day of it being a copy wheel and be able to copy jutsu and also see chakra and all the added things to it, Sharingan was just the shit. AV University, thanks so much for the $2 dono. Appreciate that love. The styles ranked fire, lightning, water, wind, and earth. I mean, honestly, maybe we can get into that when the ranking is over. Just having better vision in general is an S in my eyes. So true. A base Sharingan was able to keep up with Danzo. Nah, Sharingan is definitely an S tier. I don't even think we need an argument for that. Like, the ability to even like have a little bit of precognition, have the chakra eyesight, the better eyesight, the ability to copy. There's so many different things that the Sharingan nets you the ability of. Like, if it didn't eat and consume so much chakra, it'd be a double S, triple S even. It's not even exclusive to ninjutsu. You can copy movement too. Wait, is it just one or two Sharingan? I think it's just Sharingan in general. I don't think we're gonna split this up into the 1 or 2 Sharingan. Hey, AMV Universe, thank you for the $2 dono again. Give me Kurama and Byakugan with fire and lightning element. I would be crazy. I believe that, honestly. That sounds like a pretty fire combination here. We've got Hidden Mist Jutsu coming up, or Hidden in the Mist Jutsu, which genuinely is a pretty decent technique, all things considered, if you're not going up against someone that has pretty good senses or like good eyesight like Sharingan or Byakugan. Isn't that just hiding? I mean, it is just hiding, but it's like good hiding though, right? Like, you're basically creating mist that literally clouds the opponent's senses. Boring? I mean, I don't think it's interesting. I can do that jutsu right now. Hidden Mist Jutsu is great for assassination techniques and great when you're going up against lower level opponents. Like, if you're trying to... The way that Zabuza uses it, when Zabuza uses it as like one person up against like 10 or 20 people and just instantly assassinates all of them in the mist silently, that can do work. But it masks chakra too. Exactly. I'm pretty sure it masks chakra as well. It won't work in the desert. I mean, definitely environment is important when it comes to that. I think I would probably put it in C tier because it is very situational, and you also need to have the ability to make it work. Because let's say if you have like a Genin character using the Hidden Mist going up against like someone like Kakashi, like that ain't doing anything. Or even up against someone that doesn't have the Sharingan and is at least has better senses than you do. Like, I have a feeling that you have to have the skills to back up Hidden Mist. So I would kind of put it at the same level as like Transformation or Sexy Jutsu, where it's like you got to have the skills to back it up. You got to be a boxer to use it. Yeah, you got to be a top tier assassin to use it, without a doubt. It's not really useful for a 1v1 with a lot of people. It works. It shows in the Kakashi fight. Exactly. It's good for group assassinations, and if you have the ability to pop off. If you don't, well, it's kind of just like someone said before, just hiding. Up next is Water Prison, which I'll be completely honest with you, I would probably almost definitely also put in C tier. Here's a question that maybe someone can explain to me in the chat. Anyone really at all? it would be nice to. If you're stuck inside the water prison, why can't you just stab a kunai into the person whose hand, or start biting or gnawing at or attacking the person's hand who's got you in the water prison? Like, is there ever an explanation for that? Does it restrict you in more ways than just keeping you in the water prison? This technique traps a target in a spear of water, can either be drawn from the surroundings or expelled from the user's mouth. Made from is noticeably heavy, which restricts the target's movements and can make breathing difficult. Thank you. I needed that answer, because I'm like, why doesn't someone do something about this? As such, those trapped within the water prison cannot ordinarily escape on their own. However, Neji Hyuga was able to free himself by simultaneously releasing chakra from all of his tenketsu and destroying the prison. In Akatsuki Hiden, Kasame Hoshigaki escaped by increasing the volume of water within the prison beyond what it could contain, causing it to burst. So it is pretty easy to break out if you know what you're doing. I mean, if Neji can break himself out, you also have to stay in contact with the sphere and keep your arms submerged in it. For this reason, water clones can be used. Yep. Yeah, I mean, I think it's decent, actually, now that I'm reading about it. But to be able to catch someone in this, you gotta really have really good, you know, reflexes and be able to catch someone off guard. Am I right? Yeah, you're suffocating inside the prison. Thank God. That makes sense why you'd get stuck inside of it. Yeah, you have to have the water to do it, or you can make it from your mouth. It's also, yeah, I would leave it in C tier because you really have to like have it set up properly. It's one of those techniques. It's even worse than substitution jutsu because it's like, it not only does it require setup, it requires hard setup because you have to catch your opponent off guard, get them in it, and then you have to stay attached to the water prison the entire time. It's not a very great curse technique, to be honest with you. AMV University, thank you so much for the $2 dono. Son Goku should have been Six Tails next care. True. The Jubi and are their own discussion, to be honest with you. Neji could only do that because of the Byakugan. It's an okay jutsu, however, if you start to fight with it, its usefulness increases greatly as an off-guard attack. I mean, I think C tier is fair. I think that makes sense. Up next is Water Dragon Jutsu, which Water Dragon Jutsu, if we are to use the the very first appearance it ever has, it is probably F tier. Mr. 42 hand signs that take 8 years to do, and then it takes another 20-30 seconds for the water dragon to get conjured and attack its opponent. Like, I'm pretty sure in future iterations, the water dragon gets reduced in like need of hand signs. Thank God. The one thing I will say, bringing up that one video about, you know, stealth and world building in Naruto in the beginning being much different than as it turns out to be later. When hand signs did cost so much time and energy, it really felt like jutsus meant a lot. Something like Water Dragon Jutsu was this all-powerful move that took so much, you know, precondition and like setup to make. And like now, as someone just said in chat, like, yeah, the Kasame Shark Jutsu is way better. Just shoots out, no problem. So again, if we were to go with the first iteration of Water Dragon ever shown, that shit would guaranteed be like an F tier. However, again, I'm pretty sure in future iterations of the ability, it is heavily condensed to not be so many hand signs. I'm pretty sure it's confirmed. So not to hit the microphone, I'm sorry, but I'm going to put it in C tier. Just not that good of a jutsu. just not that good of a jutsu. It would literally be F tier if it still had all those hand signs, but thank God it got retconned. Do you know what I mean? If it never got retconned, it might have been one of the worst jutsu literally ever. But again, that could be said about a lot of things in Naruto. But I digress. Up next, we have Water Vortex or Waterfall Jutsu, which I think is just another C tier. Honestly, all of these water jutsus in the beginning of Naruto really just don't hold up in the grand scheme of the kind of jutsu that we see later on in the series. Fireball Jutsu is just a quick, you know, horse, tiger, ox, fire, fireball jutsu. Whereas like all these other jutsus take so much hand sign and setup and requirement. Or with water jutsus, the biggest downside of all of the water jutsus is that you require a body of water to be there. You can't just conjure water out of thin air. Whereas fireball jutsu, the reason why I would rank fireball jutsu higher than all of these water techniques is because literally you can just create the fire from the chakra in your body. Whereas again, all of these jutsu, just if you're not by a body of water, you're really not doing too much with any of these jutsus. It's just not happening, unfortunately. I know the waterfall jutsu is supposed to be pretty devastating, but it's the same kind of thing as the water dragon. It requires a lot of setup, probably even more so, because you need the extra body of water with you. You can create the water from chakra. Let's see. Am I wrong on that? Can you create water out of thin air from chakra? Naruto. Users can create water within their bodies with chakra, which they expel from their mouths, though this is generally regarded as a testament of skill. Tobirama Senju's ability to produce his own water is noted to be proof of his position as Hokage. So, like, literally, this is Kage level feat to be able to create your own water. Kage level feat. If not Kage level, high Jonin level feat. Not very common. So, I feel pretty safe in my assessment of saying that. That's a lot of chakra to use just to set up another jutsu. Exactly. Water jutsu is stronger when near a body of water. Yeah, not for the average ninja. Yeah, it's pretty rough. It's pretty rough. You need all that setup, so water style just immediately falls short, unfortunately. Hey, what's up, Who is Ray? Just happy to see you. Just happy to have you pop by. AMV University, thanks so much for the $2. Hence why fire is the best, plus can overcome weakness. Yeah, again, surprisingly, with the elemental weakness that fire has over water, the fact that Sasuke can just blow balls of fire from his mouth at any point in time, as opposed to water drag, you need a body of water near you. I mean, that's make or break tier. That's make or break a reason to be a higher tier, without a doubt. Make or break. Up next, we have Crystal Ice Mirrors, which I think is our first legitimate A tier, possibly even S tier if you guys can convince me to bump it up one. The only reason I wouldn't put Crystal Ice Mirrors in S tier is that not even One Tail QB Chakra Mode Naruto was able to bust those mirrors down. But that being said, Crystal Ice Mirror is like such a top tier move. What's up, that 1MF? How we doing? Someone said, damn, no op, why no hating? Hey, we haven't reached hating part yet. I haven't had anything to hate yet. I know you guys are here for the hating, but some people aren't. Some people want to see genuine opinions here and there. Yeah, Naruto broke the mirrors. It's not S since it couldn't kill two Genins. Yeah, I think the downside to it is if you are strong enough to destroy the mirrors, again, not even a single tail chakra QB mode Naruto was able to bust through the mirrors. Haku did hold back, as is canon. Haku didn't want to kill the two children. Haku wasn't going for the kill. However, either way, I think Crystal Ice Mirrors is a great A tier ability. It's a great way to immediately stop any single person without any know-how. I mean, even Sasuke with the Sharingan was severely damaged and almost died in the Crystal Ice Mirrors, specifically because it just, the ability to create all those different mirrors around you and then jump in between the different mirrors with, as opposed to data book statements, Haku was literally moving at light speed, jumping between all the different mirrors, being able to attack your opponents on the inside. Genuinely plenty of crazy opportunities, and the versatility behind it is insane. However, if someone like Kakashi or any real ninja with know-how, with some serious stats behind them or powers behind them, got stuck in the Crystal Ice Mirrors, they would be able to break out of it or beat the odds. That's just without doubt. So that's why I'm willing to put it in an A tier, because it's definitely a higher tier move than something like Fireball Jutsu or something like that. But I don't think it's an S tier Jutsu because it's not like an instant win condition. While Shadow Clone Jutsu has very high utility, Sharingan is just OP as hell. Crystal Ice Mirror is an awesome ability, but not just OP. Technically, Haku broke the mirror with his head. All right, now we're getting into the weeds here. Let's be real, you can get out really easily from the mirrors as a Genin, just use a smoke bomb and run. One of my favorite moments is the fact that like Naruto snuck inside the Crystal Ice Mirror and Sasuke is like, bro, why would you do that? One of the funniest moments of all of Naruto. I need to reread Naruto one day. Such a fun part. 1 Naruto is iconic. One of the greatest series of all time. I seriously. Fire beats its weaknesses, the hotter it's, cause Dabi. Thank you for the $2 AMV University. Are you mentioning Dabi from My Hero Academia? That's a series I have not seen yet. I've got to get into it soon. You can't escape the mirrors unless you break or beat the caster. Yeah, I don't think it's easy to escape. But either way, I think Crystal Ice Mirrors is pretty steadily and justifiably top of A for right now. The only A for right now. If we consider the Alliance struggled with Haku in the war, it kind of speaks for it. Yep, exactly. That's also a very good moment to bring up. Up next, we have Raikiri, the Lightning Blade, which I think is a pretty justifiable A tier jutsu as well. That's another jutsu that I may be able to be talked into putting an S if you know, if you argue, but I think you first has a pretty good point. And that Lightning Blade / Chidori is S with Sharingan, but C tier without it due to tunnel vision. Yeah, the speed amp claws, budget Chidori, lightning shank. Sharingan definitely improves the Raikiri to a significant degree. Being able to add its precision, its accuracy, because the Lightning Blade and Chidori really can't hold up very well without the Sharingan. It's only melee range. It's a little too fast. It also has a friendly fire history. Listen, I don't think we should hold the friendly fire history against against the jutsu, huh? Gained the name Lightning Cutter when he used it to split a bolt of lightning. Indicates a greater finesse with Kakashi's Lightning Cutter than exists with the standard Chidori. It isn't clear how they differ because they're performed in fundamentally the same way. Requires a large amount of chakra to be performed, placing a limit on how many times it can be used per day. After losing his Sharingan, Kakashi no longer uses a Lightning Cutter for safety reasons due to being unable to compensate for tunnel vision in his eyes. To counter this, in Kakashi Hiden, Kakashi developed a new signature technique. Sorry, I can't talk today. Lightning Release Purple Electricity, which functions similarly to Lightning Cutter, albeit can be used safely without the Sharingan. Does that lower the Lightning Blade? I mean, that friendly fire instance did spark a world war, but can we hold that against the jutsu itself, though? That's why Kakashi has purple lightning now. Purple lightning is better than Chidori. B tier because the Sharingan requirement, otherwise A tier. What do we think, guys? Do we think we should include the Sharingan in its lightning, or do we think that immediately just lowers it from A tier to like B tier? I'm really curious. Yeah, the requisites are too high. I'd say B tier. Yeah, I mean, Kakashi did have to create a whole new move because he wasn't able to use it without the Sharingan. So that's a pretty decent assumption here. Is the Chidori its own move? It is. All right, we'll do it B tier. You should only consider the jutsu on its own. Fair enough. We'll do it as a B tier. Honestly, I'm willing to put it in C tier because it's so situational. Honestly, like, it's not like without the Sharingan, you really can't even use it. So like, why would I put it in B tier? Like, if that's the case, I would opt for a fireball much rather than the lightning blade. If I could only use it with like within melee range, I get tunnel vision while I'm making it, and like, yeah, that honestly drops it down to C tier for me. Maybe we'll change it. Maybe we'll change it. Right now we're putting it in C tier. I think that's a pretty rough, you know, requisite to where you literally can't even use it. Unless you have the Sharingan. What the fuck is the point? Up next, we have Dragon Flame Jutsu, which, correct me if I'm wrong, this is also super situational as well, right? The user spits flames from their mouth that, like a dragon's, quickly travel forward in a straight direction. Upon contact with the target, the affected area is engulfed in flames. Whereas the Great Fireball technique will burn everything in its vicinity. Dragon Fire technique is more narrowly focused at its initial target, likened to a projectile. When first used by Sasuke Uchiha, he uses the wire strings to guide the Dragon Fire technique to its target's face. What would you say is better, though? Help me out, chat. I know he uses it against Orochimaru, but it seems like he has so much preparation to use it. Great Fireball is more of a great flamethrower. What would you consider better? Would you say this is basically the same thing as Fireball Jutsu? It says it's really not that much different. It's just more of a precise shot of fire. It's more like accurate. Single target. Like, we're like, Fireball is more like, here's a ball of fire. Boo. Dragon Flame Jutsu is more like, here's a direct line of fire to burn the shit out of you. Yeah, I'll put it at the same... I'll put it at like the same level as Fireball Jutsu because there's not much difference. They're basically similar. Fireball is just more bigger and AoE, whereas Dragon Flame is more, again, precise and direct shot to the person. If you don't care about collateral, Fireball is better. I'll put them on the same tier for now. And then you guys can, you know, correct me if you feel that I'm incorrect here. Fireball is a bomb. Dragon Flame is a small bullet. So it's pretty much the same thing. It's just more direct. Right next to each other. Thank you. Up next is Primary Lotus, which, I mean, As strong as Primary Lotus is, the amount of how close you need to get to your opponent, you got to wrap them up to use the Primary Lotus and then actually trap. Like, think about it. If Lee tried to use the Primary Lotus against Orochimaru or someone that was stronger than him, it would not do well. S tier out of style points alone. It's all about the style here, baby. That's what matters. I'm honestly willing to put it in F tier because most people are not going to fall for the Primary Lotus. Sasuke basically just got perception blitzed, and that's why. AMV University, thanks so much for the $2. Said fire is good by itself, and when it's combined, you got that right. Fire element is a strong element. I'll never doubt that. Way too much training for not much results, and you also need to open the first gate. It's very basic, doesn't have much utility, to be completely honest with you. It's taxing. Yeah, I'm putting Primary Lotus in F tier. I'm putting Primary Lotus in F tier. I hope no one gets mad at me for that, but that's where I'm gonna put it because, like, to be honest with you, it's so situational, and you're basically, your opponent has to be weaker than you to be able to get it off, because you basically have to hug your opponent and spin around with them in the air. If you have an opponent that's strong enough to deal with that, you're not getting that off. And Sasuke even survived it. So clearly it didn't do that much head damage, although the brain damage may cause you to be an evil villain for the rest of your character arc. I think it's pretty justifiably an F tier because is it even really a jutsu? With all the moves the gate can give you, yeah, this one ain't it. A tier for the emotional damage. Right, this did send Sasuke down a dark path. You're not wrong. Gaara wasn't weaker than Lee. I mean, Gaara, I would consider not really much of a physical fighter, no? Like, Gaara isn't someone that's gonna, like, start throwing elbows, you know what I mean? Gaara was caught off guard just by the fact that someone was able to actually touch him. Lee did it against Gaara, so they don't necessarily have to be facing a weaker opponent. Gaara was a bad matchup for Lee. It's taijutsu. You could do it without the 8 gates if you're fast and strong enough. Yeah, I'm putting Primary Lotus at F tier. Trash, Garbo. Get it out of here. Is everyone okay with me also putting this expansion Wrecking Ball Jutsu at F tier? What's the actual name? Human Bullet Tank. I'm putting this in F tier as long as everyone is okay with that. Literally just a ball that spins and, like, all you gotta do is move out of the way. I mean, come on, man. I just don't even consider this a jutsu. Hell no, it's pretty destructive. I would place it as C tier. No, C tier. Yeah, Human Boulder. That's the jutsu I'm thinking of. The Human Boulder jutsu. It also freed the Sasuke retrieval squad from the fat guy's prison. Good basic attack, but not very useful against powerful enemies. It's good paired with super expansion jutsu, but that's about it. It's used in the Inoshika Cho. It's great for bowling, right? It should get C tier just because it's great for bowling. Yeah, I don't see Human Boulder Jutsu being a very versatile or good. I consider it being the same as, like, Primary Lotus. Like, anyone with any know-how is just not gonna have a problem with this jutsu. You're not crushing anyone with any know-how. You're not, like, doing any harm to anyone with anybody that's a genuinely strong ninja. Like, they're just fucking you up. You give yourself motion sickness and make yourself a bigger target. put it in B because it's easy to use and does have power, good for coordinated attacks. I think it's pretty safe in primary Lotus. It's more of a utility than a final move. Alone, it's very weak. Yeah, by itself, like imagine 1v1. Human Boulder Jutsu ain't doing shit. Sure, if we're combining it with other tactics, or we're adding other factors into the play, maybe that will change things. But in my honest opinion, Human Boulder Jutsu is just garbage. Trash. Probably more useful for escaping a situation than a fight. Yeah, right. You can just roll away very fast. Now, that being said, Shadow Possession Jutsu is pretty fire. I'd put Shadow Possession Jutsu at like B tier. I think Shadow Possession Jutsu has some utility. However, you first does bring up a pretty good point, which is Shadow Possession Jutsu is S tier. Not only do you have to land it, but if your opponent's stronger, they can just break out. I think that's fair. But we've just seen it be used in so many great ways. When caught in Inara's technique, there is only one way to escape. Your character's strength must outmatch the DC of the technique. As long as this is accomplished, then the user can break free of the jutsu within a post round. What was that, like a fandom? Here we go, Narutopedia. This is the real one. As a way to capture deer for their antlers, a distinct sound can often be heard as indication of the technique successfully binding the user's shadow. You can use it on multiple opponents, which I think levels it up to a significant degree. It's hard to maintain for a significant amount of time because it requires a great deal of chakra. Even in part 2, Shikamaru can only maintain it for 5-minute intervals. I mean, he's still able to withhold, like, Hidan, which is a stronger opponent. Hiding behind a tree and stopping entire groups is fire. You need substantial strength, though. Average ninja isn't smart enough to use it. I think Shadow Possession is at least B tier. I think if there wasn't as much setup and you weren't able to break out of the ability, I think it would be A tier without a doubt. But I think other than that, it sits pretty solidly in B tier because you can just basically trap someone and also multiple groups of people, which I think is what really levels it up to B tier. If it was just one person, I'd put it C. But if you can do multiple people, it's B tier. And if you train yourself to a pretty significant degree, most people aren't breaking out of it. It's very practical. Exactly. However, using it at night is not a good idea. You probably should never use it at nighttime. Otherwise, it gets pretty easily ruined very quickly. It's boogie woogie level of useful in a tag team. Fair. That's a pretty good point. Hey, China Doll, welcome back. I think Shadow Possession sits pretty easily in B tier. I think Mind Possession sits at C tier. Hey, China Doll, thank you so much for the 5 gifted. What a way to come back. Let's go with the support. We love it. I think the mind control jutsu is C tier. Honestly, I'm pretty willing to put it in F tier, to be completely honest with you. But I'll wait to see what you guys say. Because genuinely, while this is a decent technique, like, it's so situational And like, I don't think this technique gets a single W in the entire series. Yeah, you're out of luck if your opponent just moves a little bit to the left. Your body being left vulnerable is very bad. Yeah, probably F. I mean, yeah, I'm also willing to put it in F tier. C tier, it's very potent, but willpower can break it. The fact that willpower can break it makes it even more willing to be put in F tier. Mind possession can be broken out of if the opponent's mind is stronger than yours. OP if it's someone strong-willed like Obito. Alone is useless and lets you jump the enemy, right? You have to aim it correctly too, which is a huge, very big problem out of everything. Like the fact that you have to literally aim it. Your body is vulnerable the entire time while doing it. You can miss. And also your opponent can break out of it if they're stronger. Sakura's willpower was strong enough. Yeah, never mind. It's F tier. Yeah, it's just not a good technique, unfortunately. It's not a good jutsu by any means. I mean, it's so situational. You need to really be put in the perfect, like, position to get hit by it. And then if you're too strong, you can't even have it. It's just, yeah. F tier. A lot of these moves that are in F tier, like, just don't hold up in a 1v1 fight at all. And up next, we've got Dosu's sound jutsu, which is just basically overrides your ear canals and like causes you to hallucinate and just like have a bad time without any other explanation. You basically just get completely tripped up. You start losing your balance and it's hard to fight. It took out Rock Lee, so it's a C tier. You gotta catch him lacking. Yeah, I mean, the sound move I wouldn't put in B tier. I'd probably also put in C tier. It being invisible puts it up there. A tier, not gonna lie. Sound anything is pretty good. The problem is, it's one of those techniques that you have to really, if you don't catch your opponent off guard with, or you get a character that's well aware of it happening, you can pretty much dodge it effectively. If you're faster than sound, you can dodge, and 80% of ninjas in the verse can dodge. I've got a top of C. I might be able to be convinced to put it in B. It's more like a debuff, and you can still beat it if it goes off. It's kind of like a punch to the jaw. Yeah, it's almost like you get hit by a glass jaw. A kind of perception blitzes you for a solid moment. B tier because you can use it almost anytime you punch someone. You do have to carry that whole big machine around, so that probably lowers your speed stat to a significant degree. Very good to drop the enemy's defense. I think top of C tier makes the most sense. I could potentially raise it to B. But I think because a lot of sorcerers deal in like projectile fighting, sorcerers, ninjas. I'm so used to having Jujutsu Kaisen on the brain. I think because a lot of ninjas are always so far away, or have the ability to fight far away. Like, think about it. Sasuke could just fireball jutsu from afar and not come anywhere near to get even hit by the sound. Depending on the AP, it could go higher. I think right now, top of C is best. Maybe we'll raise it to B tier. I think Zaku's sound jutsu is a little bit better, in my honest opinion, than Dosu's. Whereas Dosu will like debilitate you and like completely disorientate you and take you out. Like Zaku's sound wave can like actually cause real damage and blow you to smithereens. And that is also more projectile and can be launched at a further distance. correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like Zaku's sound is better than Dosu's. Even though Dosu technically should be power scaled higher than Zaku, I feel like I would actually prefer to have Zaku's jutsu more than I would prefer to have Dosu's. Karizi agrees with me. And honestly, that's the only agreement I need. That's the one I'm thinking of. Yeah, it has pretty significantly high attack power and can cause serious damage. You can literally scar the ground with being able to break the sound wave and shoot sound wave barriers. I think that is a much better jutsu than just disorientating people with the big device that's on your arm that you have to carry around with you and probably slows your speed a decent amount. I think that's probably of similar level to like fireball jutsu. You know what I mean? Like you can cause some serious damage and it's also long range, which in the ninja world means a heck of a lot, in my honest opinion. We've got a Byakugan coming in, which I know we've already seen some pretty hefty slander for the Byakugan in chat, except for Truck-kun. Truck-kun is giving it an S tier, best dojutsu in the series outside of Sharingan. That's not what everyone was saying before. I think Byakugan is a pretty fire dojutsu. For an eye technique, the ability to see very far, see everyone's chakra points, it's really good. Byakugan is really good. I think A tier, possibly S tier. You need to be a boxer though. To be honest with you, even if you're not a boxer, and even if you're not like top tier fighter, having almost like no blind spot whatsoever and just having insane eyesight, almost 360-degree vision, being able to view chakra points and everything like that. Like, obviously, the Sharingan gives you access to so much more. But the Byakugan is pretty hefty of an eye technique as well. Gotta give Byakugan A tier. Reconnaissance is basically guaranteed without having to infiltrate. Yeah. I mean, the Byakugan is just fire. I literally don't think you can really say anything bad whatsoever. You can break genjutsu with it. To destroy someone's chakra nature, you need a Hyuga teacher and know subtly so everyone knows you're using it. That's an S because if you have it at base, imagine if it evolved. Now, I think Byakugan is pretty solidly A tier because unlike the Sharingan, it doesn't immediately make you a fucking menace. The Sharingan, Uchiha are born as Himothes, whereas the Byakugan, you've got a good advantage over a lot of people, but it doesn't immediately make you the best and strongest person in the room. Look at Hinata. You know what I mean? Hinata immediately drags you down a pretty decent amount. I won't lie to you. Sharingan received a lot of buffs, but Byakugan was the original meta. I'll give you that for sure. I'll definitely give you that for sure. Byakugan was supposed to be the OG OP eye technique, but Sharingan definitely got plenty of buffs in late game. Without a doubt. If Kid Naruto could counter the eye, so can any Jonin. You guys are gassing this eye like it's good. Listen, I know the Byakugan is controversial and could go 50-50. That one MF said Sharingan has the author on their side. Isn't the author the one that started all of this? Byakugan, I think, pretty fairly sits in A tier. Pretty fairly sits in A tier with the other kekkai genkai. Now, their curse mark is an interesting jutsu. I think the curse mark... It depends on what you're looking at the curse mark as. Like, are we considering the curse mark as, like, just a power-up? Or are we also considering the fact that the curse mark kills most of the people that get imbued with the curse mark? A weaker version of Sage Mode. I mean, that's fair. F tier for giving me an ugly hickey. Nah, curse mark is fire, bro. Stylish as hell. Only 10% of people survive it. Curse mark is senjutsu. I think curse mark sits maybe C tier. Curse mark is great, but it messes with the user too much, and without the ritual, it's too unstable, so B tier. It's not worth the cost. It fluctuates because there's different versions. Sasuke and Kimimaro don't have the same as others. Yeah, I think C tier curse mark makes the most sense, just because it really is wishy-washy. Either you're strong enough to handle it or not. It's kind of almost like becoming a demon in Demon Slayer, literally. Curse mark is unstable, so losing your mind is not worth it, right? You either get a big power boost or you don't and you get sick and die. So I think pretty fair to say it's like a C tier. I wouldn't even really consider it a jutsu, honestly. So we won't spend too much discussion on the curse mark because it's like, it's not even really the same criteria that we're talking about all the other jutsu as. Up next is Sand Coffin and Sand Burial, which are kind of almost the exact same curse technique, but I guess you can argue you can trap someone in a sand coffin and not Sand Burial and kill them immediately, so I can understand why you would consider it two different jutsus. I mean, if you don't have sand on you, it's pretty rough. I'd probably put it in A tier, to be honest with you, both Sand Coffin and Sand Burial, because even if you don't Sand Burial and literally kill them, Sand Coffin is still a pretty decent trapping mechanism to get someone stuck in their sand. Sand is everywhere. True, very true. Sand Coffin is a seal, and Sand Burial is a finishing move. Did I say curse technique? Bro is too used to JJK. You're not wrong. If I accidentally say curse technique on accident, I do have Jujutsu Kaisen on the mind all the time, so I apologize. You can make sand from the destroying rocks on the ground. That's fair. I hate sand. It's coarse and it gets everywhere. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, Anakin. Yeah, you're right. You can kind of put sand in a lot of different places. I think it's A tier without a doubt. A at the minimum. The sand techniques are indeed pretty busted. I won't lie to you. The sand techniques are pretty busted. It pretty much is like an insta win. If you get stuck in Sand Coffin, it's pretty hard to break out unless you're like a god tier ninja. S tier, since it has synergy with other sand techniques, it can get sand in your bloodstream. Yeah, I guess you could turn Sand Coffin. You could turn any sand jutsu into Sand Coffin if you really wanted to, right? Like, you just get someone's feet stuck in sand, immediately Sand Coffin, Sand Burial, get them stuck and kill them. Like, it's a pretty serious jutsu. Anyone that's not Jonin or higher is insta-death. Yeah. Even Madara got his body pulled out of his Susanoo. It's an A-tier jutsu for sure. It's Sand Coffin and Sand Burial is a great duo and great jutsu. Up next, we have Chakra Absorption, which honestly is decent. Chakra Absorption isn't a bad jutsu by any means. I would probably put it in like B tier, considering if you're hand-to-hand fighting someone and every single time you tap them, you're stealing their chakra. It's a decent ability. It's not an instant win, but as that one MF said, it's good utility, but it depends on the user. Because if you're trash and you're not able to back it up, or you don't have good hand-to-hand physical combat skills, you're probably getting your ass whooped. However, it was a good enough ability to almost beat Sasuke if Sasuke didn't go right into Curse Mark. I'd put it at A tier if this is the way that Momoshiki used it. Yeah, the Rinnegan Chakra Absorption version, I'd probably would consider being a little different. But yeah. You'll auto lose if you absorb too much chakra. Well, let's be real, that's a pretty fringe lose condition, right? Like, I feel like most people are gonna be like, aren't going to absorb too much chakra. I'd put it at B tier because I think it's pretty conditional. You also have to be strong enough to not get cooked fighting someone close up. But I think it's like it has a pretty more utility than like water jutsu that need water next to them, or like Raikiri or sound transformation. And I'd put it, you know what, if we're gonna put that at like, would it be top of C? Because I consider it similar to like the sound wave. Nah, you could dodge the sound wave or get away from the sound wave or block your ears from the sound wave. You can't block your ears from chakra absorption. A sword would counter you. The thing is, it's not the absorption what's broken. It's both how much chakra can the user handle and if it's not nature chakra. True, if you absorb senjutsu, it's not going to be well. I think B is the perfect mid tier. I think B is the perfect mid tier. That being said, Lion's Barrage, moving on, I feel like goes right next to Primary Lotus, considering it's literally just an offshoot of Primary Lotus. Versus Samurai, you're cooked. Fair. It's just a combo. Yeah, it's literally just a Primary Lotus into a different physical combo. So I think Lion's Barrage, if I'm gonna give Primary Lotus an F, I gotta be consistent and give Lion's Barrage an F. Another L from my boy Lee. Yeah, Lee is not doing so hot, unfortunately. He doesn't seem to be doing so hot. It's just Sasuke pirating Lee's technique. Yeah, again, if we're gonna put Primary Lotus in F, we gotta put Lion's Barrage in F. Up next, we've got the insect, the Aburame clan. Aburame, right? That's the name. Shino Aburame. Yes, Shino Aburame. I was correct. Which, like, the insect jutsu is pretty cool. I mean, we were just talking about, chakra absorption. That's, a great way to get chakra absorption. Shino showed great potential as a shinobi early age, drawing the attention of Danzo. In the anime, I mean, yeah, Danzo is a fuck. Easily defeated Zaku Abumi, and later fought Kankuro, a skilled shinobi, to a stalemate. During the time skip, he was promoted to Chunin. and during the war, he was able to fight and defeat several white Zetsu despite them being Jonin caliber in power. Shino was infused at birth with a special breed of insects. In return, they nest and feed on his chakra. In return, they attack and do other tasks as he commands, forming his main fighting style. Shown to create insect replicas of himself, encase enemies in cages of insects. Use a special breed of insects to devour the chakra and even flesh of their victim. Can use his bugs defensively by having them swarm around himself. Can use his bugs to spy and gather information. While his Kekaichu only have a lifespan of a few hours, their life cycle ensures that there will always be females with eggs. I don't know, bros. Are we saying C or B tier here? The poison is good. F tier because it's disgusting. A tier, he can absorb chakra, beat puppet users, and has a ride. Imaginative 7 tails was his. He can cultivate different types of insects with different effects. Very big potential. They're breeding on top of you. That's a good point. That's a good point to bring up. I'm seeing, this is the most mixed I've seen so far of any jutsu. I've got S, A, B, C. I've got so many different letters being thrown at me right now. It's honestly kind of crazy. The insect jutsu is more of a waiting game, so it depends on who you're fighting, but it does have good utility. I mean, you can clearly do a lot with it, right? You can absorb enemies' chakra. You can do scouting and spying and hear and see things that are going on with the bugs. You can create different types of bugs for different things. You can poison people. You can eat people's flesh. You can do pretty serious damage. But the thing is, I mean, when you're fighting any real ninjas, you're going to be at a loss. I'm going to make a jump here and call it B tier. I wouldn't put it in A tier, but I think it's got a lot of utility, much more utility than things like transformation jutsu or like the F tier jutsus. I think it's not like a great A tier technique, but like it definitely has a lot of different usages and like you can do so much with it. What's up, Iron Eyes? How we doing? Yeah, I think B tier makes sense for the Aburame clan's insect jutsu. I think B tier makes the most sense, to be honest with you. Insects breeding inside you is gross, though. You listen, we make sacrifices for having top tier B tier jutsu, okay? If insects need to breed on me to have high level jutsu, then that's just the cost and the sacrifice I need to make, okay? That being said, up next, we have the puppet tier jutsu, which I don't know about you guys. I might be completely fucking biased, but puppets suck, man. F tier without a doubt. Puppets are some of the absolute worst jutsu in the entire world, unless you're Sasori. And Sasori, I feel like, is like a jutsu in and of its own, right? Like we have, thank you, we do have multiple different Sasori jutsus here because the ability to control multiple puppets, like 100 puppets, a puppet army that's able to conquer an entire nation is different than just controlling one single puppet. I'm sorry. It just is. Sasori is different from your average puppet ninja, right? We have to get that out of the way, and I have to make that clear when I give puppet jutsu on its own F tier. Because like Sasori being able to take the puppet jutsu and turn it into something that is absolutely insanity is different than just having 1 or 2 puppets that you can use. People are saying that puppetry is tied with insect jutsu. I disagree, because like where you can have one insect fly across countries and do surveillance for you, or you can hide with insects or whatever, blah 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 blah. I mean, sure, you can make an insect-sized puppet, but like we never see that. And just puppets are so easily, the chakra strings can be cut. I mean, I guess you can turn puppets into like human bodies into puppets and use their techniques, which is, I guess, maybe enough to put it in C tier over F. You don't need to attach a string to the insect. Thank you, that 1MF. I feel like insect jutsu is better than puppet jutsu. Negative by scissors. That's what I'm saying. You can cut the chakra string and call it a day, right? It's a skill issue. The only peak puppet users are Granny, Chio, and Sasori. Like, Kankuro literally tied with Shino. No, you will never be able to convince me that Shino's jutsu is the same level as Kankuro's. Kankuro is definitely a tier lower. It requires a user that's a tactical genius to use it properly. Yeah, thank you. Also boring as hell. Thank you, Cool Uno. We got top tier YouTubers coming in right now to agree with me. That's what I'm talking about. Puppet users are lame. I'll give puppet users bottom of C tier because it does have some utility, but like, I really, honestly, no, no, you can't convince me to take it out of C. You can't convince me to take it out of F tier. You cannot convince me to take this out of F tier. You just can't. You won't. Puppets are terrible. There's nothing good. You cannot give me one single good thing about puppets. That makes sense. Puppet jutsu has cool finishers. Yeah, if you get someone weak enough to fall for it, at least C tier for the potential. Nah, when we get to Sasori, maybe we can talk. Sasori's jutsu are clearly, as we see on this list, different. We see Sasori's jutsu here and here. How are those puppets dealing with a lighter? Exactly, they're made of wood, damn it. They're made of wood. I rest my case. Yeah, F tier. You can't convince me to take it out of F tier, to be honest with you. You cannot convince me. Being able to turn a dog into your clone. Fucking also F tier. What the hell is the point? Someone tell me. Someone give me a reason to not put the dog transformation ability not in F tier, because it's literally just transformation jutsu, but turning your dog into the clone. The dog is cute. Truck-kun, you have a point that I have not considered. But you know what? The dog isn't cute anymore once you transform it into your ugly ass Kiba Akamaru ass self. You have a dog and your dog might get punched in battle. F tier. So true. You gain a free dog. Now see, if that was the case, I would be having a different discussion without a doubt. AMV University, thank you for the 5. I appreciate. Sorry, I missed your dono. No up. Sharingan users aren't born. They require an emotion versus Byakugan. You just get it. Only have to train, which you already do. Heck, Sharingan has more cons. I guess you're right. You do have to awaken your Sharingan. You don't just get Sharingan from the start, but I still put Sharingan. Sharingan has to be a tier above Byakugan, without a doubt. F tier for animal abuse. I would say puppet's better than dog. I'll put puppet right above the dog. How does that sound? Puppet top of F tier. That's about as simple as it gets. AMV Universe, thank you for the 5. I feel so bad. I just read your dono and you just donated again. I just read your dono. I'm so sorry. I love you, though. Thank you for the support. I appreciate the donations. Guys, if you haven't already, we're about halfway through. So if you haven't figured out already, there's no way I'm going to be able to do every single jutsu in something that doesn't take 5 hours. We have so much to go. So I think I'm going to split this. I think I am going to split this part 1 and part 2. So unfortunately, we will be done after Minato Namikaze's jutsu. And then we'll save this for next week's stream. Next Saturday stream, we'll do all part 2 of Naruto. But don't worry, we're not going anywhere. We still probably have a decent hour and a half of content left to be ranking all these jutsus. But that being said, please, if you haven't already, make sure you hit that like button. Please subscribe if you haven't already. If you're new, I sincerely appreciate you. And I appreciate people like AMV University who are donating and just showing their support. That means the world to me. Thank you very much. And again, I'm sorry you had to donate twice for the same message. I should have caught you before. Thank you for the $2 dono that just came in. Base to base, Byakugan is better. We could debate that. We could definitely debate that. Sharingan versus Byakugan. What would be better, base to base? But we'll get to it. Yeah. So that being said, the turning your dog into a clone of yourself, obviously F tier, without a doubt. Now, Fang over Fang. I'll be honest with you. I have to also put that in F tier. Simply because if the boulder is an F tier, then Fang over Fang also has to be an F tier. Yes, that 1MF literally said it. Just above human boulder in the F tier, it's just the same, but twice. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It literally is just the boulder, but now you're doubling up and fighting twice with a clone. Fang over Fang can be versatile. You can burrow yourself in the earth, I guess. Base trash did nothing to anyone. Man, Kiba just fucking sucks. So true. So we're stopping at Flying Raijin? Yes. We're just going to be doing part 1 jutsu today. I'm going to change actually let me change it now so I don't have to change it later. Yes, all jutsu and Naruto part 1. I just changed the title of the stream and everything. That's how you know it's real. All jutsu in Naruto part 1, ranked and explained. And we'll do part 2 next week for sure. How many of the filler arcs are included in here? I'm gonna say no filler arcs are included in this because it's just manga panels. No clickbait, exactly, Lynn. We're all about no clickbait here. I just don't have the time. We're gonna hit 3 hours without a doubt just doing part 1. So there's no way I'm gonna be able to do the next half of Naruto. Yeah, Fang over Fang, I have to put right at the same level as Human Boulder. If you're fast enough, you can just dodge it. It's literally just a high speed extreme thing. Next jutsu, thank you, Dean Sports, for keeping me on track. Uzumaki Barrage, I can't put anything above Lion's Barrage. You know what I mean? It's Lion's Barrage, but with clones. That's pretty much all it is. So I have to put it in F tier. Should I put it above? Should I put Uzumaki Barrage in C tier because it involves clones, so it's a little bit more? The more clones, the stronger it becomes. Uzumaki Barrage is jumping though, so it should be above. Yeah, that's what I'm starting to think of. It's kind of like it's more than just your Lion's Barrage. It's a multi, physical barrage. Uzumaki Barrage has 3 different versions. Nah, it's an F tier. Moshinobi can only clone. Yeah, but I mean, the Uzumaki Barrage in general is better than Lion's Barrage. I'm going to put Uzumaki Barrage in C tier because genuinely Uzumaki Barrage in general involves at least 5 or so clones. So it automatically is better than Lion's Barrage because it's more characters involved in the jumping. So Uzumaki Barrage is a tier higher for its jumping facility. But other than that, if you don't, either way, that's the only reason why it gets to C tier. Bottom of C tier makes the most sense to me. Now, 8 gates is something that's interesting to me. 8 gates is an interesting jutsu because it really heightens you up. It really levels your stats and gives you an insane increase in physicality capabilities. I'm willing to potentially put 8 gates at A tier. I think the only thing that would keep it out of S tier is the massive drawbacks that come with the 8 gates. 8 gates is very broken. It just levels you up to above past your potential. You can fight all the Kages together. I mean, you have to have a strong enough base to be able to do some feats like that, but still, the 8 gates is some supreme work. I'm willing to put it top of A. The only thing that keeps me out of S is the fact that it has such serious drawbacks to using it. But it made Madara sweat. Do we have full 8 gates as its own thing here on the tier list? No, we don't. We don't have full 8 gates. So this is genuinely just 8 gates in general. Night Guy is its own thing and doesn't involve the 8 gates. So this is literally just 8 gates in general. So yes, top of 8. Top of A tier. The only reason I would not put 8 gates at S is because you die if you use it to its full extent. That is what would keep it at A tier. Yes, same as Amber Beast A tier. Yes, same as a Mythical Beast Amber AMV University. Thank you for the $2. Kashimo tier, exactly. Definitely top tier A. The only thing keeping it out of S is the fact that you just die if you use it to its maximum ability, or even if you don't release the 8th gate, you still take severe drawback for using it to up to its 7th. So yeah, it's definitely top of A, but the fact that multi Shadow Clone Jutsu and Sharingan don't involve dying, keep it at A tier, without a doubt. Don't you dare compare the farmer with the goat guy sensei. Yo, that's a fire cross verse battle. Kashimo versus Might Guy. You get to choose which ant fits your needs the best, so it's good. Hey, listen, that's why I'm keeping it at A tier. Up next is Lee's specific move. What's that? I forget what the move is called. Is it Final Lotus? What's the ability called? I'm losing it. I don't remember what he does here is called. Hidden Lotus. Yo, if I can say anything, the Hidden Lotus is one of the coolest jutsus of all time. Definitely A tier. The Hidden Lotus is so cool. Let me see. Can I pull up the Hidden Lotus? Will I get copyright striked if I do that? Will I get copyrighted? Hold on. This is crazy.
One way or another. I am not the only one to lose here. Guys,
The Hidden Lotus is great, right?
Well, we will see about that. My armor. Can't or two.
And he pulls. Someone disagree with me. Lee was gonna do Neji dirty if he landed this. Fair. A tier, no one other than Gaara is beating this in the tuning exams. Super true. What's up, Myers 420? How we doing? Not gonna lie, Gaara still winning after this is honestly impressive. Yeah, Gaara is another breed. But no, I think Hidden Lotus is A tier. And yeah, the fact that the chatter was right where they said no other character would have survived this. The sand armor is literally what survived. The sand armor is what kept Gaara alive, as well as obviously being a Jinchuriki, but background music's a little loud. Oh, sorry. I apologize. The desktop audio to music pipeline was not correct. Had to fix the volume real quick. Music was so loud, my life became a boss battle. I'm so sorry. But yeah, I think Hidden Lotus is justifiably an A tier. Next jutsu is Summoning Jutsu, which, yeah, that 1MF has the perfect segue into the whole discussion about Summoning Jutsu, which is summoning goes hard depending on who you contact and who you contract. But I think overall, as a whole, I think Summoning Jutsu deserves to be a solid A tier. Just because whether you, like, the versatility, the amount of different people you can summon, the kind of quality. I mean, if you think about it, you can contract a Jinchuriki, or they Biju when they're not inside a human. You can contract a Biju. Madara was summoning Jutsu Kyuubi. You know what I mean? You can summon the Ghetto statue. You can really do a lot of serious damage with the summoning Jutsu. I think doesn't it also count ninja tools too? Yes, you can also summon weapons like 10-10, everything like that. However, I guess the only thing that keeps it out of S tier for me is that not every summon is a W, right? But you know what? Would it be similar to Shadow Clone Jutsu? In that, like, I mean, obviously, multi-Shadow Clone Jutsu Naruto isn't the strongest character in the verse with the multi-Shadow Clone Jutsu, but just it's the amount of different things you can do with it. Like, is summoning S tier just because, like, I mean, like, the thing that makes me not want to put summoning Jutsu at S tier is because, like, summoning Paku, the little dog, is not an S tier Jutsu. However, summoning Manda, you know, the giant serpent, or, like, you know, the slug, or, like, the giant toad. Edo Tensei is its own jutsu. True, yeah, we're not including Edo Tensei here. There's also reverse summoning, which is just a better substitution jutsu. Yeah, I think summoning jutsu would probably be like top of A tier, not S tier, because it's just not as insanely powerful. Like, it's not an instant win. Multi-Shadow Clone Jutsu has so much utility. So does Sharingan. Summoning Jutsu, if you don't have a good contract, you're down. It's the same as, like, Curse Spirit Manipulation for Jujutsu Kaisen. If you don't have good curses, Curse Spirit Manipulation doesn't matter one lick. Imagine having Guy's Turtle for a summon. Exactly. Like, the summoning jutsu can be peak, but it can also not be good. A bad contract can still reverse summon you, though. Fair. I don't know. I think top of A makes the most sense. Top of A. Top of A. God damn it. We're being very stingy about our S tiers. Very stingy about our S tiers. Up next, we have 8 trigrams palm rotation, which is like, I guess, C tier. Maybe B tier because it's just instant defense. AMV University, thank you so much for the $2. No-op Byakugan has so many uses. S tier, my guy. I think Byakugan is definitely top tier, not S tier. A tier, best defense other than the sand, the perfect defense. I've been smoking crack, huh? That's crazy. That's a crazy accusation. B tier can be offensive and defensive. I'm being sold on the whole. It's a top tier defense. Honestly, rotation might be A tier. I'm being sold on the rotation. It's better than substitution and better than fireball jutsu, better than the sound wave. It can pretty much null every single jutsu in B tier. So I think A tier is pretty solid. Like, you can get rid of all of the sand with rotation. You can get rid of all the crystal ice mirror attacks that are happening. Rotation is pretty fire. It's pretty efficient, but not permeable. The defensive aspect starts before the user even begins to rotate, if I remember correctly. Didn't rotation repel some of the Ten Tails attacks? You need to have the Byakugan to use it, though. I mean, I'm imagining rotation is A tier. 8 trigrams ain't been useful since them boys was 12 years old. Listen, I think 8 trigrams rotation is a fire technique. I think A tier makes sense. It's a really good defense, and the only reason I put it at defense is because it's pretty good at defending against almost any jutsu below it. You know what I mean? Almost any jutsu below rotation so far has met its match. AMV Universe, thanks so much for the $2. Bro, go to the wiki for Byakugan and look at it. I believe you. Byakugan is great. That's why it's an A tier. The only ones beating rotation in the tuning exams are Gaara and Lee. Boruto used 8 trigrams with no Byakugan, but he's less efficient with it because he just guesses where the chakra points are from experience. Well, that's interesting. I didn't know that. Maybe I do need to catch up on Boruto. Never seen someone defend the Byakugan like this. Hey, Byakugan got shooters, clearly. That's what matters. Let me catch up with some of these donos. AMV University been donating decent. I consider the AMPs different jutsu. No Byakugan has many S uses. S tier, my guy. Thank you for all the donos, AMV University. I sincerely appreciate all your support. I know you're donating just to make your case for the Byakugan, but hey, thank you for the support. We don't discuss Boruto here. Very fair. Now, 64 palms, I think, to be honest with you, is less versatile than rotation. Just because I think 64 palms is pure physicality. Like, I think, honestly, like, 64 palms does more damage than something like Fireball Jutsu. But if you're fighting against a user with Fireball Jutsu, you can stay away. Like, if you have projectile attacks, you can pretty much stay far away from 64 palms. Whereas, like, rotation, I think, is just a much better defense. Like, A tier because you can't use jutsu after it. A tier, you nullify your opponent's chakra. I mean, as far as it goes, I consider it like similar, like shadow possession. You pretty much get nullified. Sure, if you don't get hit by 64 palms, if you dodge it, you know, you can just have it not happen. That's my issue. That's my argument with 64 palms. Is like you can basically just dodge it or fight projectile against someone with the 64 palms and never get hit by it. Can you parry it if you're faster? I'd imagine so. Definitely. It's a strong ability. Definitely most people are cooked if you get hit by it. That's for sure. I guess that's the only thing that would put it at A tier for me. Yeah, that does. Naruto still was able to come back. Sure, you need a second chakra reserve. He was only able to come back because he had the Jinchuriki inside of him. Which I think is just the same versatility as like something like Fireball Jutsu. You know what I mean? Like, pretty decent, especially with the amount of area it can cover. You can just wind scythe a large area and keep people down and keep people from fighting. But like, it's not an A tier because it doesn't do any critical damage, you know? It's definitely a decent ability. Wind Scythe is huge. But it's not lethal enough to be an A tier ability, right? It's like I said, it's very similar to Fireball Jutsu, where it's a good projectile attack, but that's it. Just a good attack. It's not lethal, not insta W. Wind Scythe is below Fireball. You need to carry a big ass fan and doesn't do damage. You can do damage. You may not need the fan to do Wind Scythe though, right? If you can just create Gust of Wind with something else, maybe just plain Chakra alone. Wind Scythe is a nice supporting attack. I think it's a good B tier. I think it's a good B attack. Up next, Tamari did cook Flute Girl with it. My girl Tayuya, R.I.P. Tayuya will never be replaced. She was top tier. Up next is Chidori. I imagine Chidori has to go in the exact same spot as Lightning Blade does, where like it's a great ability, but if you don't have the Sharingan to make up for it, or something that like gives you the ability to turn it into a good technique, it's essentially useless. Like you just can't do much with it, sadly. Do we put Chidori above Lightning Blade? I doubt it. I think Chidori and Lightning Blade are pretty much the exact same move. Yet without Sharingan, it's not practical in a fight. Yep, tunnel vision. Even Danzo can weave it. Yeah. What? Chidori and Lightning Blade are A, if not S moves. Chidori and Lightning Blade are literally useless without Sharingan. Like, you literally cannot use it in any real meaningful way if you don't have the Sharingan to make up for the tunnel vision it inflicts. We have learned this. Thank you for the gifted membership, China Doll. You don't need the Sharingan, bro. We did this earlier. We did this earlier. We literally explained this earlier. The Chidori was created by Kakashi after he failed. He intended for the Chidori to be a weapon only used to perform the user blah 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 blah. The speed at which the Chidori is performed, despite being one of its greatest assets, also represents one of its biggest drawbacks. Users move at their target so fast that it creates a tunnel vision-like effect for them. Because they charge in a straight line, it's easy for opponents to attack them, And because of the tunnel vision, it's difficult for the user to see these attacks, much less react to them. For this reason, most ninja can't use Chidori safely. However, a user of the Sharingan can overcome these drawbacks due to its heightened visual perception, preventing the tunnel vision from occurring, and its predictive abilities, making it easier for the user to avoid counterattacks. Therefore, as confirmed, Chidori is not a reasonable ability to use whatsoever unless you have Sharingan. You can literally say the same about any move in Naruto. You cannot use the Hyuga technique without a Byakugan. There's no argument. There's every argument to be made. A Hyuga can't use 8 trigrams palm rotation because it literally is a part of their Byakugan. Anyone can use the lightning blade, but it doesn't become a useful jutsu until you have something that can make it useful. That's like saying I have the most powerful jutsu ever, but I can only use it on Sunday. That means it's not the most powerful jutsu ever if you can only use it on Sunday. Because if I fight you on Saturday, you're fucked. So yeah, I'm gonna put Chidori the same level as Lightning Blade. We're not gonna get stun locked on it. Next up, we basically literally have like domain. We have a barrier that even a Hokage can't break out of. The same can be said about the Rasengan. If you don't have the chakra proficiency and precision, then it will not be as potent as when Naruto uses it. No, the same can literally not be said about Rasengan, because using the Rasengan doesn't make you not able to see what's going on. You can use the Rasengan without an eye ability needed to help you aim the ability. You can use the Rasengan as long as you learn to use the Rasengan. Yeah, the shield technique is a little mid. The barrier formation is OP though. It trapped Hiruzu and the Ten Tails and the allied ninja army. Yeah, the barrier technique is like strong, but you need so many prerequisites to set it up. It's literally just like a C. Like you would never be able to get it off in real battle. Like I would literally put it in C tier. I would literally put the barrier in C tier just because it can't be broken. But like F tier realistically, because it's just it requires so many prerequisites, it requires so much, it's just A tier, not even the Anbu and the Hokage could break. Anyone with teleportation jutsu can get out easily. Yeah, that's why I'm putting it at C tier for sure. I'm definitely gonna put it at C tier without a doubt. Again, it's super hard to break, but super hard to set up at the same time. So you need 4 people and you need to stand there. That's also a good point, is you need 4 people to set up the ability, which is not looking good. Now, that being said, Edo Tensei is interesting. Should I put Edo Tensei in S tier? I feel like Edo Tensei is pretty OP. The only reason I wouldn't put it in S tier is that if you don't have good zombies to bring back, it's kind of trash. That's the only reason I'd put it in A tier. Like if you don't scour the world to collect, you know, samples from strong, you know, ninjas, it's kind of useless. S tier, especially the perfect version that Kabuto created. Yeah, Kabuto's version is interesting. I think it's similar to summoning jutsu, whereas like it can definitely be a high tier, incredibly powerful jutsu that almost beats everything under the sun. But like you have to have people like the first Hokage. It's like Granny Ogami's seance technique in Jujutsu Kaisen. If you don't have really good people that bring back from the dead, it's kind of a useless, you know, ability. Also, if you bring back someone that's strong enough with the will to break out of the jutsu, they can literally just break the jutsu and then just kill you. So there's drawbacks that keep me from putting Edo Tensei at S tier. Definitely an A tier jutsu. It's definitely a very high level jutsu without a doubt, but I just don't think, unfortunately, it gets to S tier because it doesn't have that crazy, you know, hacks. I feel like, honestly, it's the hacks for me. It's the hacks for me. If I had to guess, this would be Great Forest Creation, which might be S tier, might be A tier. I'm curious to hear what you guys would think about Forest Creation as an ability. You can literally just make a whole ass forest. That's pretty OP. I'd say it's overhyped. Ooh, now we're getting controversial. True, if it's Hashirama, S. If it's not Hashirama, D. I guess Great Forest Creation probably would be also A tier, right? It's a great, very versatile ability. You can do so much with it. This thing can hold back the tailed beast. It controls the environment, gives you a lot of versatility, but like it's not like an instant win, is it? I don't know. Smokey the Bear is worried about my lighter. A tier, the forest can be used to set up for a lot of wood jutsu like Wood Dragon and Pollen that knock out the 4 Hokages. The pollen is pretty crazy. I won't lie to you. The pollen is pretty OP. I just think A tier because while it basically you can literally create an entirely new landscape for the fight. The defense alone is crazy. The defense alone is insane. It's literally a domain. You can make a house. Basically a domain expansion. It's pretty OP. You can literally just change the entire landscape. Like it's pretty strong. It's not an instant win or like an ability that makes you immediately OP as fuck. It is a strong jutsu though. So I think A tier makes the most sense. And also a lot of people are bringing up you have to have pretty strong chakra reserves to be able to make the most of it. So yeah, I think A tier jutsu makes the most sense. Now, up next, we have Orochimaru's body hopping, which, The only downside to the body hopping is that it just doesn't last long. Like, you only got a body for like a couple years, and then you got to find a new one, and if you don't, you're just fucked. The whole, it's definitely not as good as the body hop Kenjaku has, that's for sure. Also, the body needs to be replaced every 2 years. Yeah, it's kind of trash, honestly. It's kind of a trash jutsu in general. There's really no versatility. You really can't do much with it besides just reincarnate. It's terrible. It really is pretty bad. It really is pretty bad. I'm willing to put it in goddamn F tier, because what utility does it have other than reincarnating? Like, if we're really scaling these abilities by power, I mean, fucking F tier, bro. You do get the user's dojutsu and kekkai genkai, I guess, but like, you gotta kill someone with that kekkai genkai first. Based on Orochimaru versus Sasuke, you might need to be stronger too. Yeah, I mean, it's really not looking good, and there's also a bunch of setup for it. It's not a good jutsu, man. If you want to live forever, sure, go for it, but it is just not that great. What are you scaling these jutsu on? The criteria? Utility, versatility, strength? You know, its usage maybe outside of battle, just how useful a jutsu is, you know? Just ranking the jutsu. I'd rather have Sharingan than Fireball jutsu, that's for damn sure. That's kind of the criteria we're using. It's just worse Captain Ginyu. That's one way to put it. Moving on, we have a Reaper Death Seal. Reaper Death Seal is a great ability, but the drawbacks are so tough. It's like an instant W for anyone you are able to use it on. However, let's be honest here, because I see a lot of people immediately jumping to S or A tier. Fantastic last resort. You have to be able to trap your opponent and catch them in it. Like, Reaper Death Seal is not a very easy jutsu to catch your opponent in, right? Like, let's be completely honest here. 2, you die just to use the ability. So it's kind of same tier as like the 8 gates. Like, sure, it's great ability, but like, just dying to use it doesn't mean you're going to use it all the time. Yeah, but it gives you a win condition regardless of the opponent. I'm definitely keeping that into consideration. The fact that it is a last resort that you can use on an opponent that you might not be able to beat any other way. Sure, gives you a W against Immortals. Yeah. Also, it can be undone. NJW has a good point. I'd put Reaper Death Seal in like B tier, maybe. I know a lot of people are saying A. No one is immune to this. Doesn't work well on stronger opponents, and why would you use it on someone weaker than you? No, you might not even be able to seal the entire target. I mean, for an Uzumaki, there's a reason these guys have chains. Reaper Death Seal is just has way too many drawbacks. I think it sits at B tier because it's an insta W. Like, no matter if you use it against anyone and catch anyone in it, and are able to get someone with the full 100% of it, yeah. Also, like Whoop Slap said, you can resist your soul being pulled if you're strong. We literally saw Orochimaru like resist. Orochimaru and Hiruzen were locked in that Reaper Death Seal fucking trap for so many chapters. It's insane. Reaper Death Seals can be used with Shadow Clone, so that's an upside. That is an upside for sure. You can Shadow Clone with a Reaper Death Seal. I think Reaper Death Seal being top of B makes the most sense. Again, the fact that you yourself are fucked is a pretty big downside. And the fact that, like, it can be resisted against. I don't know. There's too many. Yeah. I'm comparing it to, like, the 8 gates, where, like, that's also an, like, you die condition. But, like, the 8 gates was you became powerful enough to fight a Jubi Madara, whereas Reaper Death Seal, Hiruzen literally struggled just sealing Orochimaru's arms. So, like, yeah, and also, like Dion the Digger said, yeah, imagine using the Reaper Death Seal and you hit a clone on accident. Yeah, Reaper Death Seal is an instant win, but, like, the downsides are just way too rough for me to make me feel like it's a decent jutsu. Up next is Uzumaki 2K Barrage, which I'm just gonna have to put pretty much right next to regular Uzumaki Barrage, because it's just Uzumaki Barrage with even more clones. So yeah, Uzumaki 2K Barrage is literally just, yeah, just a little bit better than regular Uzumaki Barrage. I feel like most people aren't gonna have a problem with me ranking that C tier. Again, the only reason why I put Uzumaki Barrage above Primary Lotus and Lion's Barrage are because there's clones and jumping involved. It's just getting jumped premium plus. True. Very true. Very true. Up next is Kurenai's Genjutsu, which, I mean, Genjutsu as a whole is pretty OP. A bunch of people are saying F tier, C tier. Yeah, I mean, just basic Genjutsu. I mean, Genjutsu is good, but a lot of sorcerers, a lot of ninjas are able to just outright neg Genjutsu. If you're strong enough, you can just get over Genjutsu. It's basic. Sharingan Genjutsu is a different story. I'd put Genjutsu in C tier because it's a little bit better than, like, you know, getting out of the way of a human boulder or dodging mind possession. You know what I mean? But, like, at the same time, like, so, like, you have to be at least above like a little bit above average ninja to have the Genjutsu break ability, right? To be able to break Genjutsu on your own. So I think just regular Genjutsu, whatever the fuck Kurenai was cooking here, just, yeah, why would you ever put Itachi in a Genjutsu? Why would you ever put Itachi, a Sharingan user, in a Genjutsu? Just absolutely awful. Hey, Avery University, thank you so much for the dono. Appreciate that. No, should I make a God of High School channel? I'm all for it, brother, and I'll support you every step of the way. I'll subscribe to you right now. Nah, but I'm all about it. God of High School is pretty popular. I have a lot of IRL friends that like God of High School. I don't think it's a bad channel to make. If all you have is Genjutsu, you're kind of cooked. Yeah. Yeah, Genjutsu, or Kurenai's Genjutsu specifically, I think sits at bottom of C tier. I don't think anyone will argue with me here. I think this water explosion is meant to be water shark jutsu, which again, I'd probably put at pretty much the same level as water dragon, maybe a little bit higher, because water shark doesn't require as many hand signs, and it's more of like a quick fire missile shot, as opposed to the water dragon that's more long-winded and causes more, you know, dramatic damage. Again, water style jutsu falls short because if you're not around water, trash. That's pretty much really what it comes down to, honestly. You know, like if you don't have water next to you, it's just meh. It's not like fireball jutsu where you can just fire it out of your lungs. Water Shark is A tier. It has built-in chakra absorption. If you fight back, you die harder. AMV Universe, thank you for the $2. Noop will collab on Mori versus JJK. As soon as I read God of High School, I'm right there with you. All right, let's see. Water Shark Bomb, Water Shark Bullet. The user manipulates a volume of water with their hand, and by thrusting their hand in a direction, the manipulated water is sent in that direction. As it moves, the body of water takes the shape of a shark, with additional water following in its wake for as long as the user keeps their hand thrust out. Because of how quickly the shark moves, and because of how much water there is, it does extensive damage when it impacts something. Users can also ride within the water shark as it moves, allowing them to travel faster than they're able to swim. In the anime, when Kasame rides the shark, it flies through the air rather than swimming through the water. I don't see anything about water absorption. Water Shark Bullet technique is a stronger version of the water release Water Shark Bullet. The user creates a gigantic shark out of water and by thrusting both hands forward sends it to attack the opponent. This technique differs from the original since this one is able to absorb the chakra from an opponent's technique and in turn use that chakra to grow larger and more powerful. Therefore, the stronger the opponent's technique is, the stronger this technique will get. Now, I'm to imagine this is a different ability, no? Do we have Kasame fighting here? Yes, it looks like we do. It looks like this is Kasame's bigger version of the technique. So, as far as it goes, without the chakra absorption, kind of falls short. It's basically less cool water dragon. I think Water Shark Bomb is cooler, but hey, whatever. Yeah, with the chakra absorption out of it, it's C tier. If you include the chakra absorption, I would put the technique in B tier. But without chakra absorption, it falls short into C tier, without a doubt. Without a doubt. We'll get to that in part 2's ranking, huh? All right, up next is Tsukuyomi, which I think is a pretty easy S tier. I mean, do I even need to explain for that one? Tsukuyomi is just OP. Without a doubt, I think Tsukuyomi is very OP. You need the Mangekyo though. I mean, you wouldn't be able to cast the jutsu without the Mangekyo. So we're considering the jutsu as a whole. I know Lightning Blade and Chidori for some reason confused some people, the placement. But here's the difference between something like Tsukuyomi and Chidori Lightning Blade. The argument for Chidori and Lightning Blade, you need the Sharingan to make it a viable jutsu. Right. Reason for that is any Jamoke can use the Chidori or Lightning Blade, can train up to being able to use the Chidori or Lightning Blade. But if you do not have the Sharingan, it's an ass jutsu. The Tsukuyomi is different, whereas no ordinary average Joe Schmo can use the Tsukuyomi. You need the Mangekyo with Tsukuyomi to use it. So it's like we're judging the Tsukuyomi based off of the jutsu. We're judging Chidori also based off of the jutsu, whereas the jutsu in and of itself is ass without the Sharingan. Tsukuyomi is S tier because it's an impossible to break out of genjutsu if you do not have Sharingan of your own. And even if you do have Sharingan and Mangekyo Sharingan of your own, it's tough to break out of. Obviously, if you don't look the Uchiha in the eye in the Mangekyo, sure. you might be able to get out of it. But the Tsukuyomi, if you're caught in it, is an instant win. Without a doubt. It's an instant W. And I think that's what puts it in S tier. If you get caught in Tsukuyomi, not only is there no breaking out of it, the mental damage that's caused is almost irreparable. I'm pretty sure Kakashi and Sasuke would have literally been out of commission for almost their entire lives if Tsunade wasn't there to heal the damage done to their minds. Isn't it only a second in real life? So whoever wants to break you out has only 1 second to do so. Right. Yeah, you can have 72 seconds pass. 72 seconds, 72 hours pass in the grand, in the overall grand scheme of like an hour of a second. So like, yeah, it's relatively insane. It's almost an instant win if you get caught by it. Obviously, there are ways to avoid it. But I think just for the sheer fact that like you look in my eyes and you're done. Yeah, I think it's an S tier. That immediately puts it over any of the A tier conditions where it's like, it's questionable if it's an instant W. This is an instant W without a doubt if you get hit by it. If you have no eyes, it can't hit you, I guess. But either way, I think Tsukuyomi is a pretty obviously an S tier ability without a doubt. Up next is the Toad Jutsu, the trapping inside the Toad stomach. I don't know what the definition is called. Summoning crushing Toad stomach or summoning Toad mouth bind. Is a pretty good ability. Like, it's a really good technique. The walls of the esophagus. Hold on. Let me put the ability on screen. The user instead summons only the esophagus of a giant toad. And if this is done inside a cave or some other structure, it's possible the target won't even notice. The walls of the esophagus are sticky and pliable, making it difficult for opponents to keep their footing, making it hard to fight as normal. And being able to control and expand and contract it, Jiraiya claims no one has escaped this technique ever. Itachi and Kasame were only able to escape because of Amaterasu, which Amaterasu is insanely powerful when you consider just regular jutsu as a whole. And considering the toad's esophagus is already fire resistant. And also, you can make a poison that begins to paralyze the person's body after 10 minutes of exposure. So it's almost a guaranteed W. Trapping anyone in this is like, if you don't have an ability like Amaterasu or some kind of S tier, A tier class damaging ability, it's almost also an instant W. I'd be willing to put the summoning of the giant toad trapping you in the toad's esophagus as also an A tier jutsu. Itachi literally had to use Amaterasu, one of his strongest Mangekyo abilities, to get out. This is no joke. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, you're pretty much finished if you're in here. Yeah, that's what I mean. This is kind of crazy, at least in A tier. Yeah. Couldn't teleportation work? I mean, to be honest with you, how many ninjas have teleportation as an ability? You know, kind of hard to find that. Not many ninja have a teleportation as an ability, to be honest with you. So that's the problem. It's almost an instant win. I'm willing to honestly put it in S tier because it's a pretty solid ability. It's kind of hard to break out of. Most people aren't. I might move this into S, honestly. I really might keep it in S. Who's breaking out of this besides Kage level ninjas? And again, Kage level ninjas that have Amaterasu. No, because you need a big toad. I mean, you wouldn't even be using the jutsu without the big toad. So again, I might put the toad esophagus, the toad throat. Might put toad throat in S tier, honestly. It's pretty high up there. Until I see a good argument to defend against it, I'm putting toad in S tier. The toad gawk gawk is crazy. Up next is Tsunade just busting the ground with her fist, which I think is similar to all the other physical abilities where it's like, why even bother, you know? Like, why even bother? It's just super strength. It's not even a jutsu, in my honest opinion. S for sloppy? Stop. Let's not be rating jutsu just based off of Tsunade here, okay? Think it's better than Kurenai's genjutsu? I mean, all you gotta do is just get out of the way of her hit. A tier, because her hit almost killed Jiraiya. Never forget, it's an extension of chakra control, I guess. I wouldn't even really consider it a jutsu. So, like, to be completely honest with you, I would just ignore it. I wouldn't even really consider it as a jutsu. I'll just put it in F tier with the other physical taijutsu abilities that aren't even really jutsu. Now, Rasengan, I think, is top of A. Without a doubt. Rasengan is Chidori without the downsides, baby. Basic Rasengan is A tier. I'm glad we're all agreeing. Rasengan is like a top tier jutsu. It's so simple, so easy. Although it costs a lot of training and effort, and you have to have perfect chakra control for it. It's such a devastating ability if you can land it. Rasengan causes so much damage, and it requires no hand signs. That iconic water tank scene, so true. It internally fucks you up hard. Yeah, the damage that it causes is definitely serious. I would definitely put it above Hidden Lotus for sure. Would definitely put it above Hidden Lotus. Rasengan let Konohamaru beat a pain. It speaks for itself. Yeah, very true. Very true. Rasengan is a top tier ability. Again, Chidori with no drawbacks. Definitely top tier. Now, up next, we have Tsunade's mark, which... the strength of 100 seal. Jutsu from the Sage of the Six Paths that requires extremely delicate chakra control. By storing a vast amount of chakra over an extended period of time into a specific point, the user creates the seal, which manifests into a rhombus-like marking, and once the seal is formed, the user's already impressive chakra control allows them to perform techniques without any wasted energy. When released, the seal will either spread across the user's face or wrap around their entire body. The stored chakra is then released, greatly amplifying the power of their techniques. The seal will permanently remain in the center of the user's forehead, presumably so that the user can keep on benefiting from its effects. The seal is also symbiotically linked to the summon Katsuyu. That is to say, the power of the techniques used by Katsuyu is directly proportional to the reserves of the seal. So you can also pass this on to your slug, you know, summon. Basically a top tier power up, but it does require a decent amount of setup. It also involves the creation rebirth by releasing a large amount of chakra at once. The body cell division is forcibly stimulated. Whenever the body's tissues are damaged or an organ is destroyed, the injury will instantly heal regardless of the severity. So long as creation rebirth remains active, the user cannot die, earning it recognition as the pinnacle of medical genjutsu and the ultimate regeneration technique. Creation rebirth does not repair old cells, instead hastening the operation of new ones. Because the body cells can only split a certain number of times, the user shortens their natural lifespan whenever this technique is used. I'd be willing to put it in A, because it's a pretty serious buff, but it does require a lot of prep time. Maybe B, because of the amount of prep time it costs. It's just worse restless gambler. Damn, I never thought about it that way. It takes years to build that chakra and utilize this technique. You're immortal and super strong when it's activated, but it takes years of prep time. It's not something that you can just activate on command, which is a interesting criteria in my opinion. B is too low in my opinion. You won't be using the whole thing in one go. Nah, because that payoff puts you on a whole new tier of power. At least A, but the Tsunade version is S. The fact that you can't die during this is pretty OP. I think the only thing that would keep me above putting it at an A tier, I'll put it top of B, and let me explain why. While it does give you A to S tier quality out of the jutsu, it's not something that you can just summon and bring up out of nowhere. You can't just summon the seal like you can summon the Rasengan or the rotation or summoning jutsu or sand coffin. If you have not prepared this for years, you can't use it. And once you use it, that's it. It's over. You shorten your lifespan and you have to start the creation process over again. It's 8 gates, no death. Plus, yeah, but the thing is if again, the 8 gates you can summon immediately at any point in time. If you haven't prepared this for years, you're not being able to do it. You're just not. Let me zoom out here because we're starting to get pretty big. Starting to get pretty big in the screen. But anyway. Gates is also way stronger. Yeah, I think it's B tier just because of its conditions. You don't have to only use it once. You can deactivate it before all the chakra is gone. I guess that's fair. Well, I'll leave it top of B. Maybe I can be convinced to change it. But we're coming up on 3 hours and we're on the last line of jutsu here, guys. Up next is Choji's gigantic expansion where he becomes huge and just crushes the entire surrounding area. I mean, F tier. I wouldn't even consider that a C tier or B tier. Luffy tier, get the fuck out of here. Stop. The B tier. He just makes himself giant. Low A, get out of here. Bang out. You're lying. You're trolling. You're trolling. He just becomes gigantic. Bigger target, easy to dodge. Choji and his dad jumped the ghetto statue with it. Yeah, but I mean, like, imagine like Iruka Sensei getting turned big. The jutsu alone doesn't make you strong, right? The multi-size technique. First, where the user becomes extremely round, because this is what happens to Choji, blah, blah, blah. The second is where their user simply becomes larger, bigger than normal size, but not so big as when they use their super multi-size technique. Okay, this is the super multi-size technique. Heightened version of Akamichi Clan's multi-size is essentially the same as the base version, though the user becomes significantly larger on a scale comparable to a mountain. Because of their huge size, any physical attacks the user makes are by default extremely powerful and cover a wide area. Such a drastic increase in size places a great strain on the user's body. The chakra requirements to perform this technique are also quite steep. I'll put it in C tier. Does that make you guys happy? If I put it in C tier, will that make you happy? Very good in combos. They get massive defense. It does punch hard. It can be used together with other jutsus. You just become big. You can dodge it. If you're fast enough, you can just move out of the way. You're basically just imagine like if you're a ninja fighting a kaiju. Unless you're mountain level, you're not really doing much to him. B, come on, you can sit still on the opponent to kill them, but they have to sit still for you to sit on them. You guys aren't convincing me to move this any higher than C tier. I'm sorry. You're just not. You're just not. Now, Jirobo's jutsu is interesting. Jirobo's jutsu is interesting. What's it called here? Where he creates the prison that basically just traps you and steals your jutsu. And honestly, it almost fucked up the entire Sasuke retrieval squad. I'm trying to find the ability. I don't know what the name of it is. Earth Prison Dome of Magnificent Nothingness. Here we go. Weak as fuck, same as Water Cage. A little higher than the Water Cage. Fodder antagonist tier. How did the gang break out of that again? It's a good point. If the prisoners can ascertain where this weak spot is, there's a weak spot. It's like the Death Star. Although the dome is difficult to escape from, it isn't impossible. The chakra within its walls isn't evenly distributed, being at its thinnest on the side of the dome opposite to where the user is standing. If the prisoners can ascertain where this weak spot is and then focus a sufficiently powerful attack on it, they will be able to break out. Yeah, trash. Same as Water Prison. It's actually just a little bit better than Water Prison because it can be like, it can get multiple people, but still trash. It's actually probably worse than Water Prison, honestly, because it's very easy to break out of because it doesn't suffocate you and keep you immobile by the weight. Yeah, it's not that great. Yeah, at least Water Prison keeps you from trying to break out, whereas this just literally gives you all opportunity possible to try and break out, which, not good. Now, next up, we have Choji's Akamichi Clan 3 pills. which is, I remember being pretty OP. I remember that being pretty OP. Now, I don't know exactly how strong it supposedly made Choji after eating all of them, you know what I mean? I'm not sure where we're supposed to scale him. B, huge physical boost. F tier, winners don't do drugs. Times 10 amplifier, on par with Hidden Lotus, might be A tier. It's an at least 10 times buff. It buffs the user a great deal, and the only cost is stamina, except the red pill will kill you. So it's similar, so it's just like a smaller and weaker version of the 8 gates. It's a cheaper version of the 8 gates. So I guess putting it in A tier, maybe B tier, because it's not the same as the 8 gates. You got to eat all the pills. It burns all your body fat. S tier, true. Honestly, top tier move. I think B tier is okay because, like you said, it's cheaper. It's cheaper 8 gates. So I think B tier is fair, right? Now, up next is Kimimaru's ability. Which, it's... Oh, no, not Kimimaru. I'm sorry. What's his name? I got it wrong. Kidomaru. I got it wrong. I apologize. How could I be so wrong? It seems like none of his techniques are literally on here. None of the spider techniques. Literally, all they give him is his fucking arrow technique, which was literally going to be used to kill Neji. Which, I mean, it almost killed Neji, you know? I would have liked his other abilities to be, you know, part of it. What do you guys think? C, it's just a bow and arrow. B tier, just a dude with a bow. LOL, anyone besides him that uses that jutsu is trash. He's so fodder, they don't even care. It was supposed to be pretty high tier, right? Spider Warbow. Terrible split. First creates a warbow by carefully expelling Spider's sticky gold from his mouth. With it, he's able to fire arrows using his body's 8 limbs to boost the bow's tension beyond what normal people are capable of. So it's already past peak humanity strength. Because of how much power is put into each arrow, they travel incredibly quickly, too fast to see. On impact, the arrows pierce cleanly through targets and obstacles alike and can crater the ground. So it's pretty terrifyingly strong. I would put it at least on Fireball Jutsu level. It can be described as a one-hit kill. Ah, but here it goes. By activating his Curse Seal's 2nd level, he gains a 3rd eye, which further increases its accuracy, allowing him to hit his target's vital spots from hundreds of meters away. Kidomaru can attach one of his spiral threads to control the trajectory up to 50 meters away. He also modifies the arrowhead into a drill, which would allow it to pierce through the tree if Neji tries to hide behind the tree again. In the anime, after being reincarnated, Kidomaru can simultaneously fire 3 arrows at once. I'll definitely put it on B tier. Put it on B tier without a doubt. I'll put it at the same level as like Fireball. Its lethality definitely adds to it. 110%. He's basically grade 1 Charlotte's Web. I'm so done. That's so funny you would say that. All right. Up next is the Fist Frenzy, or the Fist Flurry, where Sakon and Yukon can like combine their punches to hit more than once. I think pretty clearly it just goes with the other physical taijutsu hits as F tier. Like literally just a aura punch barrage. Literally might as well not even be a physical attack. Easy F tier. Didn't even knock out Kiba, which is insane because any attack should be able to knock out Kiba because Kiba is garbage. China Doll, you know nothing about Naruto? Damn, that's crazy. Naruto, I feel like this would be an easy tier list to do because I feel like most people have seen Naruto, but I guess not. Maybe I'm wrong. Definitely recommend Naruto. Naruto is such a fun anime and manga. It's so great. It really is one of the OGs, China Doll. Definitely can't recommend it enough. Can't recommend it enough. I mean, as far as it goes, Kiba, again, with the transformation into the giant dog, I feel like it's the same as fucking Choji's super expansion jutsu. Like, who cares? You're a big giant dog now. Like, sure, you can fang over fang with this big giant dog body now, but like, just Kiba's whole act, Kiba's whole jutsu, everything Kiba does is trash. Like, there's nothing good about Kiba. Kiba is such a terrible character. Everything that he does jutsu-wise is awful. I have no idea why fucking Kishimoto chose to add Kiba to the Sasuke retrieval team when, like, we have so many cooler characters that we could have added to the Sasuke retrieval. We could have had Shino, which I would have loved to have seen Shino versus Sakon and Ukon, by the way. Much better fight, in my honest opinion. You know, like, Ten could have done anything in the story, and it would have been better than fucking Kiba. Clifford is not stopping a fireball. I'll give it C tier just for the fact that it's more than Fang over Fang and the whatever, but just dumb. Just super dumb. Now, Rashomon Gate is a high level defense, but I would probably put that at C tier as well. They can block Biju bombs, but you have to layer them. Remember, Lin, you cannot forget, you have to layer the Rashomon. And I think quadruple Rashomon might be its own technique. Or it's not its own technique. I lied to you. Triple Rashomon isn't its own thing. People are telling me to look up the wiki. People are telling me to look up the wiki. Summoning Rashomon. The user summons a large gate. Sakon and Uka can only summon it together. The gate itself is designed to look frightening, with the gate's doors having a demonic face to intimidate onlookers. Against most forms of physical attack, the stronger the attack, the more damage the attacker will do to themselves when they try and fail to break through the gate. Sakon and Ukon praise Kiba for being able to dent the gate, which they say is Orochimaru's strongest defense. Despite this, Orochimaru can also use a 3-gate variant, and beyond that is a 5-gate variant. the fact that it like does damage back is pretty B tier. If you are not shooting a cannon, you're not hitting that. Doesn't homie from Bungo Stray Dogs use Rashomon, but the doper version? Yeah, Tiberius, I'm pretty sure you're right. It's powerful, but only covers you from one side. Because there isn't different, I guess Rashomon, this is just the jutsu and you can stack it up multiple times. I think as a defense, it's a B tier defense, but I agree that it's not an omnidirectional defense, so that is a downside. However, it is able to, if you stack it up, do some pretty big defense against some pretty big jutsu. So I'm willing to give it a B tier. Willing to give it a B tier for sure. Now up next, we have both of Tayuya's genjutsu. Which, does Tayuya's genjutsu do anything special besides just being freaking genjutsu? Revolt of the Demon World. Tayuya plays a melody, her finale, with the demonic flute, causing many mouthed worm-like spirits of chakra to emerge from the mouths of the doki. The chakra of the spirits is almost entirely spiritual energy, causing them to ravenously seek out physical energy in order to achieve balance. Tayuya's melody directs the spirits at her targets, who they pursue in so complicated a pattern as to resemble dancing. When the spirits pass through the targets, they take bites of physical energy. Because of their immaterial form, the spirits are impervious to direct attacks. As such, the target's only chance of stopping the spirits is to either prevent Tayuya from playing her flute or to neutralize the doki. Now, it's interesting that they didn't include the doki as like a jutsu of her own. I guess that is just summoning, right? She's just summoning her big giant doki creatures. Nah, this genjutsu is nuts. Sound genjutsu is hard to get around, and even Kabuto using Tayuya's skills on Itachi and Sasuke in the war. If the opponent wasn't Shikamaru, it's an instant win. A tier. It's pretty OP, the fact that you have to stop Tayuya, and also they just literally just eat away at your life energy. It's more than just genjutsu. It's basically bringing genjutsu into reality. If you hear the sound, then you're getting attacked by the beings. You have to be able to get up close and personal and stop the sound to stop the illusion. You can't just break out of the genjutsu. Obviously, you can just dodge or run away or stay out of the grasp of that. But again, with the amount of spirits coming at you, how hard they are to dodge and everything like that, and the amount of damage it can do to you, I'm going to put it B tier. Just bum rusher and it's GG. Yeah, you could also, you know, I'm going to put that at like B tier for sure. I think B tier makes sense. Only reason it isn't S tier is because pain will break it, just like what Shikamaru did. If you're deaf, you're putting the mitts on her. Well, the only thing is that it actually creates real physical manifestations. So even if you don't hear the sound, it doesn't matter. The spirits will still be manifested and be able to cause damage, which puts it above regular genjutsu for me for sure. I don't know if I'd put it at A tier, because again, you can just run away, dodge the manifestations, or just like you said, bum rush and fuck Tayuya up. So I think it's a B tier jutsu for sure. Now, Tayuya's other genjutsu, her demonic flute, phantom sound chains. I need to see if where this is different here. This genjutsu is performed with a flute because it's transmitted via sound. It's effective against long ranges, working even on those whose location the user does not know. Whoever hears the flute is subjected to an illusion of their limbs being bound and preventing them from being able to move. So it's pretty high tier genjutsu. It's also good genjutsu because this is the genjutsu where if you hear the sound, you're fucked. But I think this does unfortunately fall short and go into C tier because, again, if you just ignore the sound or do what you can to avoid it, it's just basic genjutsu. Any jutsu that needs equipment to function is a downside to consider. That's also a good point, that 1MF. I don't know. Everyone's saying A tier. I don't know why we would put this above the spirit snakes that literally eat your life energy and are real illusions that you see whether you're hearing the sound, the music or not. I think I think that should definitely be a lower tier jutsu. It's worse Kurenai Genjutsu. I think it's better Kurenai Genjutsu because sound, if you hear the sound, you're immediately stuck in the Genjutsu. But at the end of the day, it is just Genjutsu. If you're fighting someone, it's kind of hard to just turn off your ears. I guess in the Naruto world, it is hard. In Jujutsu world, I'm used to cursed speech where people can just put energy over their ears and completely invalidate it as a whole. So I guess that is a good point. In the Naruto world, it is not that easy to just, you know, ignore sound. Would we consider it B tier Genjutsu? I guess it would be B tier Genjutsu because it's above Kurenai's Genjutsu, but it is still just Genjutsu. Sure, it gets used against Sasuke and Itachi, but how well does it work against them? You know what I mean? How well does it work against Sasuke and Itachi, Sharingan users? Can't you just whistle it? I mean, can you just whistle forever? I don't know. I put it above regular Genjutsu like Kurenai, but below. You know, it's not that great. I definitely wouldn't put it on A tier. Without a doubt, I wouldn't put it at A tier. They had to break each other out. They couldn't break out on their own. Fair. Sasuke and Itachi break out of Tayuya Genjutsu. Yeah, here, let's we gotta pull up right here. Tayuya's Genjutsu trapped Itachi. How did that happen? Would he be trapped if it was not for Sasuke using his Sharingan on him? Sound-based Genjutsu is said to be the hardest to avoid. The Sharingan only defends against visual Genjutsu. Tayuya's is auditory. I think it's based more on the Sage mode as he couldn't care less about Kurenai's Genjutsu. Also visual Genjutsu. Sade mode enhanced Genjutsu. You have to understand, every ability Kabuto used from the Sound 5 was amplified by Sage energy and making it exponentially stronger. It's a good point. Shikamaru broke out of Tayuya's Genjutsu by breaking his finger. If it really were Tayuya's Genjutsu, Itachi and Sasuke could break out by activating their Susanoo. Using Susanoo has a side effect of causing the user immense pain. If Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan solves that, then at least Itachi can still break out. So no, not Tayuya's Jutsu. This was Kabuto's Sage Arc Genjutsu enhanced by nature energy. Part 1, Shikamaru broke out. Why couldn't Itachi? Shikamaru had a specific method to break out by causing himself pain. Itachi couldn't think of a way to do it on his own. Claiming Itachi doesn't have as much intelligence, if not more, than Shikamaru. Hurts my soul. I'm seeing a lot of different arguments here. What is chat saying now? Debatable. Uchiha are Kishimoto's boyfriends. It's an automatic bad matchup. Yeah, this is A in my opinion. It was amped. Good point. Not really. Tayuya's potential if Kabuto was utilizing Sage Art. Shikamaru is a genius though. So I'm gonna keep it in B. Because if Shikamaru can break his finger to get out of it, then it's easily broken. Even if you don't have the Sharingan, technically speaking, Sasuke and Itachi could have broken themselves. Sure, you can say, oh, the snakes, you know, keep Itachi from moving, or, you know, I would put B. I don't want to get stun locked on this for too long. But if Shikamaru can break out of it, then I don't think it's too terrifying. And if Kabuto is the one that's making it possible, I have a hard time believing Sage Mode does not play a part in that. That being said, I hope it is not crazy to say that Kimimaro Kaguya Kekkei Genkai is definitely A tier. Kimimaru's Kekkei Genkai, the whole Kaguya bow manipulation jutsu, is some of the craziest abilities that I've seen in Naruto. Honestly, I'd be willing to put it in S tier. It gives you hella durability, gives you a lot of versatility. You literally have spare bones if you get messed up. Yeah, I'm willing to put it in S tier, honestly. I'm willing to put it in S tier, but it gives you cancer. It's not confirmed to give you, right? It's not the Kaguya clan that makes Kimimaru die early. Kimimaru just has a bad illness, right? Selectively few, namely Kimimaru possessed the Kekkei Genkai from Kaguya's original bow manipulating ability. This ability was so powerful that even the war-loving Kaguya clan feared it. A select few were able to inherit the Shikotsu Myaku Kekkai Genkai, derivative of their ancestors, all killing ash bones, which allowed them to manipulate their skeletal structure to weaponize bones for battle. The ability was so powerful, it was regarded as the ultimate taijutsu ability that the other members of the clan feared it. Apparently, the members who possess the abilities have a different body structure than others, as when Kimimaro was fatally ill, Kabuto claimed there had been too little information on his body to give any medical treatment to it. Yeah, no. So you're not, the Kekkei Genkai doesn't kill you. So Kimimaro was just, you know, average tuberculosis anime character. I'm willing to put the Kaguya Kekkei Genkai as Kaguya Kekkei Genkai as S tier, considering it's also considered the ultimate taijutsu Kekkei Genkai. I mean, if Kimimaru wasn't, you know, reduced by sickness, like, Kimimaru would have beaten Naruto, Rock Lee, and Gaara one after the other, and would have continued his rampage further into part 2. Kimimaru was OP with that bow manipulation. I think it's pretty fair to say it's S tier. Fair to say it's S tier. He was the trial run for Heavenly Restriction. True. He only lost the plot. Yeah, tuberculosis really got my boy because no one else would have. Kimimaru was literally one of the strongest people in part 1, probably one of the strongest if you don't include Itachi and Kasame. So the fact alone, like, everything that you can do with it is just OP. Imagine trying to fight, Kimimaru with the palms and Byakugan. Yeah, would not work out. You would just get fucked. Kimimaru would beat all of Sasuke retrieval. Probably would beat Sasuke. Part 1 Sasuke even, if you really think about it. That I don't want to die on that hill, because I'm sure there's someone that could disprove me and also fight to the death about that matchup. So I won't argue that too much. That was just an offhanded comment, but yeah, S tier without a doubt. A tier, the bones can be broken easily and offers no resistance to genjutsu. The bones can be broken. I feel like half the point of why Kimimaaru's Kekkai Genkai was so strong is because he could literally just buff his bone durability and barely take damage. I feel like that was like half of his whole thing, was that he could literally just harden his bones and not take damage. Up next is going to be, Kimimaaru Kaguya S tier for his Kekkai Genkai. Sand Tsunami, I'm pretty sure, is the next ability, right? Now, Sand Tsunami, I would probably put right next to, Forest Creation, Sand Coffin, Sand Burial, Crystal Ice Mirrors, everything like that, because, like, you are literally just using all of the sand in the entire world, or at least in the entire location, just to completely flood, crush, and destroy, your opponent. It's definitely it's terraforming an entire area. It is high tier. Sand Tsunami is super duper strong. Super duper strong. You would literally drown someone using the 8 trigrams palm rotation without a doubt. Definitely better than Rasengan. Yeah, it is much better. Forest size tsunami that was broken, yeah, and the fact that you can then convert the sand tsunami into sand coffin is even crazier. Oh, I'm sorry, we're gonna call that sand funeral because it's so much more fucking devastating. Yeah, literally terraforms an entire location. That's a huge high level move without a doubt. High level move without a doubt. Now as far as it goes with these two next moves, I mean, these two next jutsus are, Vermilion Rasengan is definitely stronger than regular Rasengan. It's buffed up with, QB chakra mode ability. But I would just put it above regular Rasengan. Now, Onyx Chidori, some of you might get mad at me. But I feel like Onyx Chidori is different. We should rate Onyx Chidori different than regular Chidori and Lightning Blade, right? Because Onyx Chidori is immediately considering you have the curse mark to begin with. Onyx Chidori is literally just Chidori with curse mark buff. So I would imagine Onyx Chidori with the curse mark buff, like, you might not have Sharingan. I mean, listen. I'm willing to fight. I'm willing to fight on that. I'm willing to fight on that hill. It's a Sage Chidori. Yeah, because Curse Mark amplifies perception as well. I guess it gets extra points because you can fly. We forgot that there was a point where this kid flew right. I miss Curse Mark Sasuke with the fucking I miss Curse Mark Sasuke with the wings. That was super cool. Just put it with the Rasengan. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'm just gonna put Onyx Chidori right next to Rasengan because it's basically Chidori with the amplified notion of curse mark, automatically making it at the same level as Rasengan, which immediately ruins, it gets rid of the tunnel vision, all of the downsides of Chidori because you have the curse mark amplifying and percepting you. Why is it different? And I'm sure there's going to be people that comment and that are going to be like, why would you put regular Chidori and Rasengan? It immediately invalidates your opinion. No, it doesn't. I think curse mark amp enough would get rid of the tunnel vision defense. Yeah, Onyx Chidori alone, just being able to use Onyx Chidori implies you have the buffs necessary to cast Onyx Chidori. So that's my argument. And I think without going too crazy, I think it's pretty obvious to say that Flying Raijin as our last jutsu of part 1 Naruto as S tier. Flying Raijin is a jutsu unlike any other jutsu. You can mark someone and teleport to them at any point in time, no matter where they are, in the blink of an eye. You can mark someone and in 20 years be like, yo, checking up on you. Literally. You can teleport moves away. The versatility and utility of Flying Raijin is unmatched. Exactly. No one can react to a Raijin teleport. Flying Raijin is easy S tier. Flying Thunder God is so OP. It just does so much. And it's a literal blink in time. It's so fast. There's a reason why Minato was run on sight in the Third Great Ninja War. Run on sight. Not just because Minato was fucking OP, but because Minato, again, could just mark you and literally just have him zip into your enemy camp and kill everybody. According to the Boruto fans in chat, Flying Raijin even crosses dimensions. Which, I mean, I'm okay with that. That's reasonable. Flying Raijin is just OP. So I think, yeah. S tier. Prep also does a lot for it. And the thing is the prep time is like so minuscule. That's the craziest thing about it, is that the prep time for Flying Raijin is like so small. So small. All right, so let's mess with a couple things here. Just make sure everything is, you know, just as good. Let's try. I just want to make sure I'm putting everything at the top here, you know, putting everything in the order at which it makes the most sense. Da da da. Yeah, you know what? I'm pretty comfortable with a lot of these, to be honest with you. Pretty comfortable with a lot of these. I think most of this makes sense. Probably put Raikiri and Chidori at the top of S just to make people not as mad. And I'm okay with that. Taduyu's sound-based genjutsu being higher than Dosu's sound-based quote-unquote genjutsu. I'm completely okay with that. Completely okay with that. Genjutsu as a whole should probably go right next to transformation. Body, hop, puppet, physical move, lion's barrage. Yeah, primary Lotus and Lion's Rod should be above the Punch Flurry. Fang over Fang should be above that. Yeah, I think this all makes sense. If you're not going to put the sexy jutsu in S for the memes, put it in F. They're better for distractions. I think going right next to transformation jutsu makes the most sense. Hidden mist above transformation. Probably put these above transformation jutsu. Probably put the barrier above the transformations. All right, bet. I think that's fair. And we still have plenty of freaking jutsus to cover for part 2 jutsus. Like, too many almost. I don't know why I thought I was going to be able to do all of these in one go. Like, honestly, it's pretty crazy. Triple head dog too low? Nah, absolutely not. Absolutely not, in my opinion. I think this is as definitive as you could possibly get. I think Flying Raijin goes above, yeah. That makes sense. I think this is tier. I think so far, Flying Raijin is top tier. Flying Raijin, best jutsu on the list so far. Don't at me. Put dog clone lower. The clone can't even talk and it has to be your dog. I mean, hey, it's literally almost like, it's literally one above 1,000 Years of Pain, which might as well not even be a jutsu. Like, that and Mind Possession are the two lowest tier jutsu literally in the fucking world. It's insane. But yeah, part 1, every jutsu in part 1 Naruto, or at least the major ones that whoever made this tier list felt like was the most important to bring up, are all here. Next week, next Saturday, we're going to be hitting right back into this tier list. I'm going to make sure that everything is just as it shows. I'm going to literally take a screenshot right now of the way our tier list is designed. And we are going to do it the exact same way that we did it before. That way, we have everything the same. I'm going to save it right now. And we will continue where we left off next week. And yes, like the stream so you don't miss it. That 1MF is talking facts right there. If you haven't already, please hit the like button for sure. I'm going to give it till around the 3:30 mark and then I'm going to call it. So we got about 3 minutes left, guys, just to chat and hang out. Before it comes up, Rasen Shuriken is S. It would have killed anyone that didn't have regen or broken hacks. Hey, well, you know what? When it comes time to go over Rasen Shuriken, that might be the case. Might be the case. But yeah, guys, I mean, 3.5 hours is a decent amount of time. That's a long ass stream without a doubt. So I had fun. I'm glad you guys were all here hanging out with me, honestly. I didn't realize that this would be a 7-hour affair. I thought I'd be able to knock out every jutsu in a reasonable amount of time. But there's just so much to talk about when it comes to every jutsu. There's so much to consider. There's so much to explain. And you know what? Honestly, part 1 Naruto is peak, but part 2 Naruto is going to be even worse because so many more of the jutsus get a lot more complicated. They get a lot more harder to rank, a lot more situational. We add a lot more kekkai genkai to the whole thing. So it definitely will be an entirely different list next time, guys. I mean, just look at some of the things that we have to go through. It's gonna be a little crazy. But I wouldn't do it with anybody else. No-op underestimated a decade of jutsu lore. You're not wrong. I really did underestimate a decade of jutsu lore. Like, I mean, I knew there was a lot. I know this isn't even all the jutsu in part 1, you know what I mean? Like, this is barely scraping the surface. This is just the major ones that probably were good enough to be a part of, like, video games and stuff. But, like, this doesn't have Phoenix Flower jutsu added to it. Doesn't have all the Kidomaru spider jutsu. There's so many things. Did they put KCM2 plus Sage Mode as a jutsu? Looks like Sage Mode is a jutsu, yeah, and KCM is a jutsu. Yeah, they're both jutsus. Yeah, so definitely gonna be interesting. You will be able to see some of my biases when it comes to Naruto characters for sure, as I feel a lot strongly about certain characters in part 2 than I feel about in part 1. But hey, I mean, hey, if you made it this far, guys, thank you all so much for hanging out with me. I sincerely appreciate it. Anybody that takes a second out of their day to watch my content, it means the absolute world to me, more than you know. So if you could, please hit that like button and subscribe if you want to see more content like this, or let me know that you enjoyed this content. It really helps the channel more than you know. And if you want to support the channel, please consider becoming a Jogo Gang member. It's $5 a month, and sincerely, it makes so much of a difference for the channel and helps me put out even more content, pay more editors, and just get more stuff like this out to you guys. So please consider that. And just thank you all so much for hanging out with me, guys. You guys are all great people. I wish you the best of the rest of your weekend, whether your Sunday is just beginning, your Saturday night is about to start, or you're about to go to sleep and your Saturday night is almost over. I wish you the best in accomplishing all of your goals. I'll see you on Monday, Jogo Gang members, because we are going in for some more Chimera Ant Arc. Super excited to go into that. And I'll see you next Saturday for the finishing finale of part 2 jutsus, as well as we got a Jujutsu Kaisen chapter reaction on Wednesday, and if you know, you know, on Friday, guys. So again, thank you all so much for everything you do. You're all great people, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace. Peace.